All right, welcome to Massive Iron Live. It is Friday, November 6th. I don't know what's going on. It's 2020. We survived the election. We're doing all right. I hope everybody is doing well. We got a bunch of people chiming in already. I'm going to check to see if Facebook is ready to roll. While I'm doing so, let's begin by asking the question, who is this guy?
There we
Can't
go.
hear.
Let me unmute myself. There we go. Technology, it's a wonderful thing. I was going to say, Steve, thank you for always having me on these Friday chats. We've been doing this, I think, since April now. And we're now, what, 7 months into doing this? 6 months doing this? This is the highlight of my week, man. There's a lot of shit that goes on each week as far as work and personal life and family stuff. But one thing I can always count on are these Friday lives. And just thank you for always doing this, first of all.
We've
Second of
survived.
all, let me close my closet door there, or my wife's closet door. There we go. My name is Robert Schinetsky. I'm the supplement engineer. I'm a writer, consultant for sports nutrition brands that does a lot of R&D work. Also do some consumer advocacy stuff by helping clients on one-on-one consultations as far as identifying what supplements are useful, which ones are useless, which ones you should avoid, like the plague or coronavirus, and all good things like that. So a little bit of this and that, but all things fitness, health, supplement related. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
All right. If you guys want to connect with Robert, you can find him, the Supplement Engineer, on Instagram, on YouTube. Please follow him on YouTube. Every Wednesday. What time is it Central, Robert?
It is 4:30 p.m. Central. Yeah, we called an audible this past week, and we're not able to do it. Sandy got tied up with some grading stuff and some meetings after school, so we had to call a quick audible. But we will be back at our normal scheduled time next week.
All right. So, guys, just a reminder, post up your questions, any questions, diet training, supplementation, nutrition, off topic, we welcome. If you just want to vent or yell or scream or whatever, please go right ahead and do so. It is 2020. If your question does not show up, please post it again. We are not ignoring you. We run into this issue every week with people saying we're ignoring them. It's not us. It's the wonderful platform, the efficient platform called YouTube. So let us know where you guys are at. I have a lot of clients in Europe that the gyms are shutting down again. And funny story, I posted a Grenade supplement company with the tank in front of Parliament, and I put that up there, and somebody attacked me, like basically saying you're an idiot, and you have your brain's getting smoother because all the gyms need to do is comply and they won't be shut down. I said, sir, this isn't the U.S., it's the U.K. Gyms are shut down. Please check your smooth brain. It's funny how people react before actually informing themselves. So, all right, enough about that. What do we got here? Stan's a client of mine. Finally, 2 weeks since last time I saw you. Time for a beer. Soon. Time for a beer now. What do we got here? Marco, hello from Holland. How's it going, Marco? What's the best way to restart after a deload? A deload really shouldn't cause you to need a restart. A deload is usually a slight drop in volume and or intensity, and after a deload, you should be able to fire right back up normally. Adolfo, greetings from Monterrey, Mexico. What's going on, Adolfo? And we got I am stupid. What's up? What's going on? I hope these anybody watching at Facebookville, please chime in. We're getting a lot more viewers from Facebook, but people from Facebook are not chiming in. Jermaine is a client of mine. Perhaps she is one of the top performers. Absolutely looking amazing and building a lot of muscle and just crushing the workouts. Thought I'd catch you guys today, but it's 1 hour late due to daylight savings. A bit too late from my side. Let's see. A question for Robert. I'm taking 125 mcg vitamin D, but was told by nutritionists that it's an overdose. Thoughts?
They don't really actually have any way to actually tell you it's an overdose unless they've done blood tests on you. So there's a couple of things. If you're not getting enough sunlight, direct sunlight, so if you wear a lot of long sleeve clothes, you put sunscreen on a lot, or you just live in like Ohio where Steve lives, where they don't get a lot of direct sunlight, then you could very well be deficient in vitamin D, because it's not in a lot of our food sources. It's in maybe some fatty fish as well as mushrooms, but most people don't need enough quantities of those to get sufficient amounts of vitamin D. So it's a little bit short-sighted for her to just blank out say it's an overdose, because she has no clue of your levels. Plus, there could also be some inefficiencies in your body's ability to actually synthesize vitamin D. So if you really want to know if you're overdosing or not, go talk to a doctor and get a blood test done to see what your vitamin D levels actually are. But I take 5,000 IUs every day. When my wife was pregnant, I was giving her 6 a day, and that was what her pediatrician or her OBGYN recommended. So yeah, don't unless they run a blood test and told you that that's an overdose, get a second opinion.
Yeah, I take vitamin D every day, and on top of that, I'm out in the sun, in Ohio, when the sun complies in Ohio, up to 10 hours a week, running. So I haven't died yet. Lindsay Spence, hello from sunny, he says, sunny Scotland. Oh my goodness, you guys must be having a good day. It's good to hear. It's good to see another Scotlander. I had all intentions of buying a second home in Scotland, but with the way things are headed with your hate crime laws, I'm not really sure. I want to be put in jail for having a conversation over the dinner table. Have you heard all that nonsense, Robert?
No, I during the week, outside of our talk, Steve, and the little messages that you and me and Alan go through at Every Damn Day Fitness, I keep my ears closed as much as possible to the rest of the outside world. I'm ignoring basically all of the sports, because I turned it on for 1 second last night. Every headline at the bottom of the screen was saying so-and-so is placed on the IR COVID list. So-and-so is conducting meetings because they have a family member with COVID. I'm thinking, sports is supposed to be like this sacrosanct thing that is just, avoid of all the social, political, racial bullshit that's going on in the world. And so the entire year of 2020, I'm just going into my little box. I enjoy my time with my wife. I'm reading more. I'm working more, drinking more bourbon than usual, and spending more time outdoors walking. So no, I'm pretty much I'm like the groundhog. I just keep going in the hole in the ground every day.
So I got a question for everybody, and I'd like folks to chime in. There was a website called Study Finds, and Robert's familiar with this website. It's a website that combs through the latest studies, and it found that 1 in 5 workers at grocery stores have tested positive for COVID. Very few of them show symptoms. So basically, you have the centralized hub of everything in the world right now, the grocery store, which does not close, and you have 20% of employees with COVID touching everything, your money, your groceries, your carts, whatever. So this, we're not a COVID channel. We're not diving into current events, but for those of you that have had experienced gym closures now or in the past, how does that make you feel, knowing that the rest of the world is, and it's probably the same for McDonald's, right? It's probably the same for everything. How does it make you feel that everybody can stuff their pie holes or do whatever they want anywhere else, but your gym is closed? I'm just curious. I'm not expressing an opinion. I just want to hear yours. All right, Stein, what's going on in Norway? We got Paul DeVito from Vancouver, Canada, and Jeremias from Finland, one of the big hockey countries. Lindsay, incline dumbbell bench PR today, about 70 for 12. Well done. That's really, really solid strength work. The Calfless King, 3 exercises that respond better with higher reps. Exercises that respond better with higher reps. I'm going to do one, and then I'm going to pass the torch over to Robert and let him add one. I'm going to say anything that is for your traps, because your traps have a limited range of motion, and that reduces the time under tension, which necessitates a little bit more volume or higher reps. Robert, any exercise you would say responds better with higher reps?
Leg press.
Okay, I can get behind that.
12, 15, 20 reps on that. You'll feel like you want to, it's a religious experience.
Outside of that, most leg presses, if you wanted to do 4 to 6 rep sets, you'd have to put on every plate in the gym even if you're weak. So then there's that. One day somebody's going to get smart and invent a 1,000 pounds of plates, but still provides an appropriate amount of resistance. All right. He said 3 exercises. So we got leg press and we got traps. What else has a limited range of motion? I know I was just talking about this week for some other body part. The calves, the range of motion. And I've been doing some research on calf growth and doing static holds at the top and slow eccentrics. So there's a lot of voodoo you probably want to do with calves, but calves probably would necessitate a higher rep range as well, or at least a higher rep volume. Yeah. All right, Maidville's thoughts on the Viking press, thinking about buying the attachment. For those of you that don't know what the Viking press is, hold on to your knickers. I'm going to show everybody. And there we go. Hold on. We're going to do the old magic screen share. Over at my website, superlivingtoday.com, which is right above our noodles, if you go to the store and you click on this Miss section, you're going to get a picture of the Viking press. You can actually view it on Amazon. When you purchase on that, it gives me a couple bucks to feed my dog Peanut a treat. So please encourage that. But I have one of these, and here's the thing. There's some pros and cons to this. Have you ever messed around with this, Robert?
No, I have not. The powerlifting gym that Sandy and I used to go to did not have one of those at the time, but I'm thinking about getting one for our home gym setup here. As soon as the prices on everything stop becoming so stupidly expensive, and I can buy more plates.
There's a big pro and a big con. I love this as an addition to overhead presses. It feels better on the shoulders. So that's a big pro. The con is try to get that sucker up to shoulder level without, on a dumbbell overhead press where you're trying to get both the dumbbells up here. Try cleaning this sucker up. I mean, seriously, it's a pain in the royal ass. To get it off the floor up to shoulder level. It requires like 17 steps. It's harder than a strongman exercise. So I have to set up like a wood block and then cram it way under there. And it's like aggravating.
There's an easy fix for this, Steve. Stop being so strong and you won't have to use as much weight.
I'm only using 90 pounds on that sucker, but still, trying to get in a position so you can actually squat under it and then stand up and press it. You need you need to get really creative and come up with some ingenious solution because it's a pain in the ass.
Have you tried to do facing away deadlifts with it? That could be kind of a cool movement. Almost, I guess it would be close to kind of like a trap bar deadlift.
I do T-bars with it, but I've not tried, like a car deadlift. You mean like the old strongman? Yeah. I have not. And I'd be curious because it's on a lever action. When you stand up, it would be moving away from you. So I'm not sure. Yeah.
Just different way to stress the muscles. A different angle of force would be kind of interesting to toy around with.
No, I'd be curious, but have not tried that. Marouan Malki, sorry if I messed up your name. Hello, guys. What's the best way to load pistol squats? I don't do pistol squats. Do you, Robert?
Yeah, my preferred way of doing them, since a lot of people lack the ankle mobility to really do it just standing like flat on the ground and doing it, is to elevate your front leg to where it's almost like it's basically a one-legged squat. Where let's say you're standing on your bench, your flat bench. So you've got your right leg, if you're going to do it with your right leg, stand with your right leg on there, let your left leg dangle down. Or if you can get on a high enough box, you can do this too. And basically you just drop straight down ass to grass on that one leg. And you let your left leg kind of lead out in front of you, just naturally drift out in front of you. That way it doesn't contact the ground, but that gives a little bit more natural range of motion. So for people that have ankle mobility issues, just doing them flat on the ground, having that elevation helps a tremendous amount. When it comes to progressing it beyond that, because doing that on its own, you're not going to need to add but 5 or 10 pounds to it. If you're really controlling the descent, you're not just bottoming out. One thing to do is you can hold a dumbbell in the goblet position is a good one, or ideally I would prefer almost like a weight vest or a weighted backpack rather than trying to hold dumbbells right here and doing a pistol squat or something. Weight vest is the way to go, in my opinion.
So, Robert, let me ask you a question. Some of my clients ask about getting a weight vest, and like on Amazon, you can get one with 40 pounds for like $57. When you go up to 60 pounds, it's like $150. You're paying a fortune for the weight. So I tell people, if you're thinking about staying 40 pounds and under, you can get a vest. If you're going to go above 40 pounds, either you have to sell one of your children or maybe consider a backpack. But with the pistol squat, a backpack, if you put weight on your back rather than weight just around your chest, do you feel it's changed the dynamic of the exercise?
A little bit, because I think that your torso is going to want to pitch forward a little bit just to try to maintain your center of mass, since you've got the weight pulling you backwards that way. So another workaround is to just flip the backpack around and put it across your chest. Wear it reverse. Instead of wearing it on your back, wear it across your chest. So that way it almost forces you into that, proud chest position where you're not allowing yourself to dump forward like that. You almost have to work as a counterweight, and that'll help you maintain a little bit more upright posture. Another thing you can do is look up the, I think it's called the Kansui weight vest. And what it basically is, it's a vest, and it's got a 2-inch diameter hole on the front, or a 2-inch pipe on the front. And you just put your regular weight plate. So if you've got adjustable, dumbbells at home, like the spin locks, or your regular Olympic weightlifting plates, the 2, 5, 10 pounds, all that stuff, you can put them on there. You can put them on the front and the back. It's got a spoke that comes out on the front and back, and you can attach in that way, instead of having to buy the weight vest that force you to change out all those little 1 or 2 pound packs all the time.
Hold on a second, guys. I'm going to reboot my internet to try to get the connection a little bit better. It just crapped all of a sudden. So hold on for 2 seconds. There might be just a temporary. Rebooting. Can you hear me, Robert?
I can. For all the listeners out there, we're going to start a GoFundMe to move Steve to a different state that has better internet connection.
I don't know what's going on. We've done fine, and then two weeks ago we had a nightmare, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it gets choppy. I feel like they're throttling me because I'm streaming video. So it's
too much porn, Steve. Too much porn.
All right, Slim 56. I'm in the Pennsylvania, the state of endless ballots. What a week it's been. It looks like Biden is going to win. I think Biden pulled ahead in Georgia, and a lot of conspiracy theories about all kinds of things. One thing I'll say is that the balloting system is such a huge mess. There's so many different systems and ways to do it. It really needs to be streamlined. But then again, this is America, and a lot of things need to be streamlined. My wife's from Australia, and there's some things they do that are light years ahead of what we do, and it just makes me scratch my head that our country can be so backwards in some ways. So, Red Line Fitness. Can you fit this pizza in your mouth? Stomach issues past month, diarrhea and regurgitation. Always have an acidic taste in my mouth when this happens. A probiotic has been recommended, and I've stopped using caffeine. Any thoughts?
Did you just get a stomach bug? Is maybe that's what's causing the diarrhea regurgitation? Probiotics can have some benefit, especially with people like IBS, IBD. It's been shown to help people with that. If for people with like a normally functioning GI system, it's kind of hit or miss. The research is mixed on whether or not it's actually beneficial. Because if your stomach's functioning properly, it's going to crap out anything it doesn't need. So even if you take a probiotic, if your stomach and your gut flora is already in good shape, and the quantity and quality of them and the diversity of them is in sufficient concentrations, it's going to those probiotics aren't going to be able to colonize in your GI tract. But if nothing else has happened and if you're still having issues, it's not a bad choice. You could also maybe try some digestive enzymes as well. Most probiotics these days are coming packaged with digestive enzymes anyway. So, yeah, you could do that. How is stress levels? Because stress can lead to all kinds of GI issues as well. That's something to consider.
Robert, I think we've talked about this plenty of times in the past, but the gut microbiome does a good job of adapting itself to your current eating habits. So sometimes people will find when they switch over from unhealthy eating to a lot more vegetables, They get the Schinetsky's, as well as their body can adapt to a diet of pizza and Doritos and sugar drinks. But would it be fair to say that some people are more sensitive than others? If their food intake is not as consistent, would that contribute to something like this? Perhaps to diarrhea, but I don't know about the acidic taste.
Yeah, absolutely. Human physiology is highly individualistic. I mean, as similar as we are, we are still very, very different from one individual to the next. So yeah, your diet's going to play a huge role in that.
What I would suggest is get scientific with it. You have to attack variables. So you're looking for solutions, a probiotic, dropping caffeine. I would try to introduce the variable of just going a week eating like a monk and just seeing if there's any change. I'm not saying you have to do this for the rest of your life, obviously, but if you clean up your diet super strict, I would be curious to see, if there is any issues. Super strict means dump all white sugar, white flour, foods with additives, preservatives, fast food, etc. Yeah. And don't restrict your calories or anything, but just clean it up and see if that helps. Work on one variable at a time.
Yeah, eliminate all the cheap refined oils too, like vegetable oils and that stuff. Maybe that, because that's been known to give people some GI issues. Just try, working with some avocado oil or olive oil or something like that. Coconut oil even maybe.
Yeah, and when all else fails, have more sex. I mean, you'll forget about it. All right, maybe.
Unless you're having diarrhea, and then don't have diarrhea while you're having
sex. And that might be a fetish. I don't know. It's 2020. Big, hairy, ugly dude, how do you combine the ultra running with your weightlifting? Very good question. And I mentioned this yesterday a little bit in my video when I was talking about Ryan Humiston. It's very easy to maintain muscle mass. Very easy. Once that stone is rolling downhill, you just have to give it a little tink every now and then, and you're good. So it's not difficult. It's not difficult for me. What I am doing right now is I'm basically training 3 times a week. On my chest day, I alternate between dumbbell bench and barbell bench 8x8. And after that, I'll do maybe another chest exercise, flies or whatever for 3x12 to 15. And then I'll do some 4 sets of tricep work. Yesterday for back day, I did I'll do 8x8 on barbell rows or T-bar rows. And then I'll do some inverted rows, like 4 sets. And then I'll do 4 sets of curls. So I'm still doing 15, 16 sets of workout. More 8x8 work right now. And after I'm done with that stuff, I work in 3 to 4 sets of legs each day. So I'm training legs frequently. Because I'm running, I would rather do a little bit each day for legs rather than one big, massive Godzilla-ass workout for legs. So
on those 8x8, Steve, how close, I guess, to say, I mean, obviously that first or second set really isn't close to failures, or are you doing like a down set where, after you're like your 4th or 5th set in, you may not be able to get all 8 reps. So if you're, rowing 200 pounds, do you drop it to like 185 or something like that? So walk us through how that is, because people may not understand how to structure an 8x8 as far as what weight to choose.
A lot of people are familiar with the German volume training, which is 10x10. 8x8 is about 2/3 mathematically of that volume. It doesn't seem like a big difference, but it's pretty substantial. I pick a weight I know I can easily crush, and then I kind of move up slowly. So I was doing 225 by 5x10 on bench, right? Mm-hmm. And so basically I knew I could transition over to 225 by 8x8 pretty easily. It's, you pretty much have to go about 60% of your 1 rep max and just go on feel from there. Shoulders might give you a little bit more issues because shoulders sometimes don't have the same level of endurance. Women tend to function better at higher reps, just physiologically, but I go about 80%. And, honestly, I really focus on control during this stuff. I don't want to beat up my body. So I don't do the mind muscle connection thing, but I focus on controlling the weight and making it as easy as possible on my joints, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
Scott McEarley from Scotland. Yeah, just do as the government commands or else. Do these people ever play themselves back? I don't know what is going on with leadership in this world. And again, we've talked about it before. It's not that we're pro or anti-mask or this or that, but just some of the rules are extremely random. Like in the town I live in of 23,000 people, they canceled the Christmas parade because they don't want people outside watching horses pass by. Apparently that's dangerous. But in 2 Saturdays, they're having a ladies' night. So 400 women are going to be hopping from business to business, opening doors and getting smashed on wine. That's okay, but you can't watch horses in the street. Like the randomness of rules makes no sense to me. And I'm sure you have some of that randomness down there in Texas.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't want to get into it, but yes.
Right.
Needless to say, we went trick-or-treating and fuck it, we did. No masks, nothing. We went trick-or-treating, and my little halfling enjoyed the hell out of herself on Halloween, so yeah.
Yeah, don't get me started on the candy tubes, okay?
There were a couple people that did that bullshit, yeah.
Because you do know that you touch the candy and then you put it in the tube, and it's the same if you touch the can. But I know you're 6 feet apart, so it's safe. I get it. But you have masks on. I don't know. Arud, happy Friday. How's it going? We can't figure this stuff out. It's way too complicated. We've got to leave it to the ingenious leaders. All right, Jermaine, thanks for the answer. You bet. Greg Duvier, does vitamin D help with seasonal affective disorder? That is seasonal affective disorder, for those keeping score at home. Is that the same as seasonal depression?
Yeah, it's basically when it gets gloomy and dreary outside and the sun's not out, people kind of go into that seasonal dip in mood, motivation, creativity, all that kind of stuff. From the research side of things, there has been an association between low levels of vitamin D and increased rates of seasonal affective disorder and depression. And the reason is that because vitamin D and omega-3 fatty acids are both heavily involved in the production and regulation of serotonin in the body. And serotonin is one of the main neurotransmitters that affects, it's called the happy hormone for a reason. So it affects your ability to feel happy, be in a positive state of mind, healthy mental well-being, get joy from the things that you do. By extension, supplementing with vitamin D and maybe some extra omega-3 fatty acids if you're not getting enough, cold water or fatty fish in your diet, both of those could potentially help with that, I would assume, just through their way of increasing serotonin levels in the body.
Yeah, some of the seasonal affective disorder. I mean, I come from Wisconsin, right? And in Wisconsin, you're literally trapped indoors, for a while, and it really gets to you. The lack of sunlight, the lack of fresh air, etc. So, I think we would get so sorry. I was searching something on the side. We would get so crazy that when it got to like 40 degrees outside, everyone would go outside in shorts and just rejoice. Mm-hmm. So, we always talk about we talk about a lot lately. Robert, have you seen the movie Unhinged?
Is it a newer movie?
Yeah, with Russell Crowe. It was released recently. No,
I have not seen it.
Okay, I want to show you a picture. So hold on a second, and I'm going to do something a little bit off topic here. If I can find a big picture here, where is it? I can find the picture, but when I pull it up, it's too small. Oh, here we go. All right. So one of my clients said, hey, man, you're looking older and your face is looking more full. I'm like, I'm 53 years old. I look better than Russell Crowe. Does that count for anything? So the new movie, Unhinged, whoops. Let me see. With Russell Crowe. Wait for it. Okay.
Whoa, that's a big boy.
And he's got his hand on the old crevasse of doom. What's going on there? And she's like, "Oh my God, this is awkward." But he is really Some people said he did it for the movie, but I think he's been gaining weight for quite a while. But dude looks way, way, way out of control. But anyway, a scary moment watching that movie. You can't stop just looking at his belly. What's going on, Pork Meat? Glad to have you here. Bill Leach, hello from Phoenix. It is finally going to cool down. Yeah, it's hockey season in Phoenix, huh? They still have that team down there, don't they?
The Coyotes, yeah.
Yeah. So here, so my wife and I can start walking in the evening again. It's pretty bad when you can't walk in the evening during summer. It's so hot. Yeah. But I imagine it's much like Australia. Carias Bactus, experience with heavy sandbag front squats. My lower back sometimes aches afterwards. You guys got any cues to share? When you put the weight in front of your body, you're going to have more stress on the lower back. So, the deeper you go, the more chance you're going to have to get a little bit of butt wink, as they call it, and maybe a little bit of extra stress on the lower back. I find that I can get more upright on a front squat, but my lower back and mid back takes a beating. So I don't have any magical cues for it. Sometimes the stress you feel on your lower mid back is simply a weakness. And if it's a weakness, you might have to work. Sometimes the bane of front squats or things like that is doing too many reps, because you get tired, things get tired, your lower back or mid back's the weak part of that movement. And you might just need to, you can keep the same set rep volume, but you might need to drop the number of reps per set. Any thoughts, Robert?
I guess you can also play around without knowing how he's exactly holding the sandbag. Because, you could hold it almost like a Zercher squat, or you can hold it way up here, more like a front squat. So depending on so maybe play around with the position of the bag in front of you. Maybe one is a little bit more friendly to your lower back. And then let's flip about it on the flip side. So in order to be really proficient and, be good at front squats, you need a really strong core. But if your low back is bothering you, maybe try doing some stuff like reverse hypers or hyper extensions or Supermans on the floor if you don't have access to a hyper extension machine or something. Start strengthening up the muscles of the low back, the spinal erectors and whatnot. And maybe that'll help alleviate some of the aches and pains, just because you're fortifying that surrounding and supporting musculature.
I'm just thinking out loud here, but we mentioned backpacks earlier. You might want to consider getting a backpack and put maybe a 25-pound plate in there to kind of counterbalance the weight as well, and see if that eases any of the pressure off the lower back. I don't know if it will, but it's free advice on the internet, so give it a try. What do we got here? David Pinto Martin. Hello from Spain. How's it going in Spain? I can only train 4 days a week in a row. Could I do upper, lower, upper, lower? Yeah, the only thing I don't want you to do is just don't train biceps before a deadlift day. If you're going to do upper, lower, you're better off doing, deadlifts. But the thing I don't like about that scheme, I'd rather see you do lower, upper, and start with deadlifts. Start with deadlifts when you're fresh, your biceps are fresh, then do your upper body, and then on your next lower body, you have squats. But you just got to be really, really careful about, like, some guys are super bicep obsessed. And, if you're doing your biceps hardcore on upper day, your deadlifts generally fall on a lower day or posterior chain day. So there's a lot of tweakings and there's a lot of things to consider. If you're doing deadlifts on upper day with all that other stuff, it can really an intense workout. So there's a lot of things to think about. Can you do it? Yes. You do want somebody to look at your programming, though. And you got 3 days to recover, so you might feel like crap, but you got 3 days to recover. Anything to add, Robert?
No, you got that one, Steve. I would just say, I guess one way you could do it, another way, if we're gonna just add more fodder to the frenzy, maybe do deadlifts on the first upper day. Like, so if he does his upper lower like that, start the week with your deadlifts. So you could say it's hamstrings, you could say it's back. It's a total body thing. So do heavy deadlifts on that first day, and then do your heavy squats on the last day. So you got enough time for your lower back to heal and whatnot. We're doing with that. Or you could also make it like your first upper day is more back intensive. So say you do 8 sets for back and maybe 6 to 7 sets for chest. and shoulders and all that. I'm assuming do 8 sets for your pulling muscles, and then do 6 to 7 sets for your pushing muscles. And then the second upper day, flip all that around and do your flat presses first, then your vertical presses, and then move on to your back muscles. So that way you can kind of space out which muscle group is getting the majority of your focus, your intensity, and your real hard effort. That's another way to kind of spin it. But we could, come up with endless iterations of how to optimize this and do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of variables here to process. Number one, I mean, from a recovery standpoint, yes, you can do it. You can recover. You can adjust the volume or whatever to properly recover. From a programming standpoint, once you have established that you can recover, there's some pieces you need to move around the table to make the workouts palatable, if you will. So I would definitely have somebody look at your program and just point out anything that was a glaring problem. Scott says the whole thing with gyms in Scotland was based on data that didn't exist. I can't believe that. That's shocking. Make laws first and then try to find data to fit it later. And if not, just pretend you had it. Slim 56, UPS man just dropped off my Rogue 75 and 80-pound dumbbells. Praise the Lord. He wasn't pleased. Well, it's Friday. Tell him to go get pizza and beer and suck it up. I mean, for God's sakes. What we got here? Ben just dropped on a live himself. I just noticed. Agreed. I love doing those presses with my shoulders. They're such a powerful pump, but getting it where you need to get it to be is something else. Indeed. It really, really is. And Ben's talking to Scott. Ben's in the UK. Scott's in Scotland. So Scott, you can tell she is lying. She spoke. Ryan XS, enjoy the gyms while they last. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. To be honest with you, I just hope the United States doesn't follow. Beef McLewis, my friend's daughter at school plays a flute through a hole in her mask. I've seen that before. Don't get me started. I've noticed a lot of health department tattletales in my town. They called my gym and said we have to wear a mask between exercises. Don't you just want to nut punch people for sticking their nose in your business? I mean, seriously. And playing a flute through a hole in your mask, that's like, you might as well just stick the thing up your ass and just fart out a song. I mean,
do these people not understand that it's a wind instrument, so you need wind to play it? So I was a trumpet player for many, many years. And so you have to put air into the instrument. So blowing through a mask isn't going to do shit because all of the air you're blowing out is still coming out through all the holes that are in the keys on the flute and the end of the barrel. That's going to do fuck all of nothing.
Well, what they're doing is the mask actually has a slit in it.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but where's the air going to go? So it's going to go from here, from your aperture, the opening in your lips. It's going to go in the flute, and then it's going to come out all the openings that are in the flute. So this mask right here isn't doing jack shit.
Right. No, I just want to make sure we establish that for people playing along at home. But it's not going to just it's also going to force it through a smaller hole, which increases the pressure and the distance it flies. So wrap your mind around that, boys and girls. Lindsay Spence, sorry to disagree, but simply put, supermarkets are obviously considered an essential service. There's no disagreement. What we're saying is that 20% of these employees have COVID. That's science. So therefore, why should we shut down gyms? If you're able to, obviously everybody has to have food, right? That's an essential. So if the mass amount of people, the masses are being exposed to COVID at their grocery store, why then shouldn't the gym be open? The healthy people are exercising. Even if it's 20% at a gym, why shouldn't the healthy people that are exposed to that same 20% of employees be able to work out? That's the only argument I am posing. I am not providing a solution. I'm simply posing an argument, and we don't disagree at all. Let's see. All right, Arnav. I started cross-country running because of big, hairy, ugly dude. It's great. Glad to see you out there running. Just remember, running off of pavement is generally better on your joints. So glad to see that. And a lot of people have started running, because of the madness I'm doing. Just want to remind you guys to run at conversational pace. When you can hold a conversation without your voice breaking, or like you having to stop in between the words or during sentences to speak, generally your heart rate's a little bit too fast. So just always keep that in mind. All right, guys, keep the questions coming. We'll be here for about 2 hours. We're 40 minutes in. And again, if we miss any of your questions, please post them up again. I'm currently enjoying step loading from 80% to 50% and then back up in 5% increments. Love the variance. Yeah, it's an important part of lifting, liking what you do. So people often ask me, why do you have 7,000 different workout options? So one of them will tickle your ovaries, simply put. If you'll find something you like. Have you ever used kettlebells for cardio and conditioning? No. I have, back when I had the Muscle and Brawn Forum, we had a lot of guys that would do Turkish get-ups for cardio. And I know a lot of people do kettlebells. I would rather, if I were going to use a kettlebell for cardio, I'd rather do Turkish get-ups than kettlebells. I don't know. Robert, have you ever messed with kettlebells seriously?
No, just dabbled with it here and there and done a few conditioning type workouts. I mean, I like swings. If you're looking for something to get your heart rate up, that's joint friendly. I mean, it's going to leave your posterior chain pretty stressed. So either do it the day after a leg day, or make sure you've got a few days in between your kettlebell swing day and your next leg day, because your hamstrings, glutes, and everything are going to be on fire if you're not used to doing that. I like it. It's a low impact way to do some high intensity interval training for people that may not have access to a cycle, or they don't want to do sprints or plyos at home or anything like that. Turkish get-ups are another good exercise that's even I would say it's even lower intensity in that it's not going to bang your joints up, and it's not as explosive as kettlebell swings are, but both of those are really good options for that.
I think you could do a lot with a kettlebell, and they certainly aren't cheap, but you don't need a lot. What would you need? Maybe 6 of them max to get in a good quality workout, maybe 8. And that could be your whole gym, along with body weight work. So there's a lot you can do. I'm no expert. I've interacted with some folks that do a lot of kettlebell work. Joe Daniels locally, he used to do some stuff with us with Tiger Fitness. Reminder, guys, off-topic questions are okay. Post up your questions. We'll be on here for 2 hours, generally, unless we run out of questions, and we're going to pull the plug. So if you guys are watching, if it's your first time, don't hesitate to pop up a question. Robert is a supplement expert, if ever there was one. So if you have any questions at all about supplementation, please post them up. Robert and I have been exploring some stuff behind the scenes, just exploring the possibility of releasing some whey, only if it doesn't taste like monkey's ass, possibly some things like creatine and D3 and K2. Nothing crazy, but if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. So we've been exploring that a little bit. We just have to find the right company and the right fit. Edwin, can't buy clothing in the UK from a shop, but one can buy online from Amazon. Yeah, I mean, just random stuff like that. It's very confusing. Gym closures extended to end in November, but climbing gyms remain. Climbing gyms are okay. I'm sure. I wondered about rock climbing gyms. Do they have to go up and clean the top pegs? Do they have to go up there after everyone rock climbs and go clean all of the little notches and pegs and stuff? I'm just curious how that works.
Silly. It's silly. I mean, are we for the rest of humanity, are we going to go and sanitize every single surface after everything goes on? Are we just going to forget that we have immune systems and not every germ is going to kill us? I mean, think about the precedence and the fear mongering that has been ingrained in people this year, to where people are never going to want to shake hands again. They're never going to want to walk within, right next to somebody. They're going to jump 16 feet to the left or right to get out of the way of somebody. I mean, the amount of fear that the governments and health agencies have done this year I think it's going to be irreparable to a certain extent. There's going to be a whole generation of people that are scared of everything, and they're going to jump out of their skin every time they hear somebody sneeze.
Yeah, and some people will never recover. It'll be like this for a generation. The biggest thing to take away from this for anybody is that death is coming for you. And weakness, there's no room for weakness. So if you don't take care of your body with food and with exercise, there's always going to be something coming for you. You can't mask and hide it. It'll come for your joints. It'll come for your body as in the form of cancer. You can wear a mask to protect yourself from COVID and influenza, but the shit you're shoveling down your throat, it's going to come for you in one form, one way or another. It's going to come in the form of cancer or a heart attack or whatever. So you can't run from weakness, or you can't run when you're weak. It'll get you. Is it okay to lose form on the last rep of a heavy set if it's necessary to complete that rep? No. Practice safe sets. Live to fight another day. This is a problem with things like linear progression, where it's, you got to add weight every workout. One thing I teach is stop a set when your form starts to break down or when you feel like you might fail on the next rep. You only want to increase in safe increments. Anything to add, Robert?
You said everything I was going to say. No, it's not worth, losing form, because then you're not really owning that last rep. If you got to herk and jerk and do all this bullshit and, like thrust your hips off the bench to try and get that last press up, you're not really owning that rep. You haven't really accomplished it. You've shook and shimmied and, jump jived and wailed your way to that last rep, but you didn't actually own it. So no, don't, it's not worth sacrificing form, because if by sacrificing form, you're actually losing tension on the target musculature you're trying to train with that given movement.
Yeah, and generally you're going to invoke a lot of extra stress on weaker muscle groups, and it'll feel good when you get that rep, but you're greatly increasing the risk of injury. Something in the chain is weak and it's going to snap, so just don't do it. And if you doubt me, go watch a powerlifting meet for a full day and see how many people get hurt trying to do 1 rep max attempts. And those are guys that are involved with the sport. What are your thoughts on the seal row? Robert, do you do seal rows? Ever done seal rows?
I have done them. I don't have the equipment here at home to do it. I don't have just enough plates to stack my bench high enough to where my long-ass monkey arms could just dangle free. So I do chest-supported rows instead. As always, also do body weight rows with my suspension trainer, pull-ups, and all that good stuff. Seal rows are great, especially if you're somebody that has a tendency to cheat and do like a lot of herky-jerky movements on seal rows. But laying strap, or if you have a lot of low back issues with when it comes to doing barbell bent over rows, I think they're a great exercise. It eliminates all momentum, and you can't really cheat at all. You either can do the rep or not. And if you can't do it, then you got to lower the weight and just put your ego in check and then get after it. But I think it's a good exercise.
Yeah, a lot of people mess up or have a hard time grasping good form or reasonable form on the barbell row. And as you can see, this is what a seal row looks like. It's, you're not required to put the drink down there at the bottom or whatever that is. That's not a requirement of the seal row. That's a steroid container for anybody looking, just insider secrets. But you can see you need a lot of, like this guy right here. If you look, you got these little notches right here where the barbell started, okay? This is a specific setup for the seal row. If you don't have that, you really got to find some way to rig it up. I mean, how do you get the barbell off the ground? And a lot of times it's going to be beneficial to use straps on this exercise. So there's a lot of logistical issues with the seal row. If you have the right setup, God bless you. If not, it's going to be like the Viking press. It'll be more of a pain in the ass to get it rolling than it's worth. It's probably easier than the Viking press, but I'm just thinking out loud. But as a actual movement, no issues with it at all. And like Robert said, it's a quality movement if you can get the flow and the setup down.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on Ruck Nutrition pre-workout? Ruck Nutrition pre-workout.
I got it right here for you, Steve. So if you'd be so kind as to share my screen.
Me. I was just gonna do it, but you beat me. All right, Robert, what do we have in Ruck Nutrition pre-workout?
Okay. All right. So it's a 50-25 servings. So this is the amount. Half scoop gives you 50 servings. You do a full scoop, you get 25 servings. We've got 6.8 gram blend of 5 ingredients. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So for all of you out there, proprietary blends are listed in order of weight. So meaning the ingredient that is listed first in the prop blend is the one that is contributing, or is the highest dosed ingredient in there. So we've got beta-alanine, L-citrulline, arginine, AKG, L-ornithine, beetroot extract. Typical dosages of ornithine are anywhere between 500 to 2,000 milligrams, so 500 milligrams to 2 grams. Arginine, AKG, has been shown time and time again to be a useless ingredient when it comes to boosting nitric oxide production. Clinically effective doses of citrulline are anywhere between 3 and 10 grams, and beta-alanine is probably 3 grams here, say maybe 4 grams. So if we're looking at these 5 ingredients, the beta-alanine we're going to assume is maybe 3 grams. Beetroot extract's probably 250 to 500. This is massively underdosed. I mean, you might get 3 grams of citrulline if you're lucky, but that would mean beta-alanine is 3. So then you're getting what, 300 milligrams of each of these right here. So yeah, this is going to be woefully underdosed. And then a proprietary blend of stimulants is something I'm usually not nuts about, especially if they're not going to divulge the caffeine content. This is the N-acetyl L-tyrosine is the cheap form of L-tyrosine. It is more water soluble than regular L-tyrosine, but it is not as efficiently converted in the body to dopamine as L-tyrosine is. So cheap ingredient there. We've got 2 forms of caffeine. So anhydrous is the fast-acting, hard-hitting one. Dicaffeine malate is the slower, sustained-release one. And then the N-phenyl dimethylamine is the euphoria-inducing alkaloid. It's a PEA derivative or cousin that is found in a Rheogerensis extract. It's supposed to give you feelings of euphoria, tunnel vision focus, really high energy, really good focus, mood, elevation, all that good stuff. The problem is I checked the website. They don't tell you anywhere how much caffeine is in there per scoop. Sure, might give you a really good energy rush. Sure, maybe. I don't know. But I mean, just it's a giant, nasty, disgusting, ugly prop blend. So no, don't support these people.
Leave that up there just for a moment, Robert. And anybody watching, please post up your questions, especially if you have any supplement questions, off-topic, diet, training, nutrition. Flood them in. We want to stay on here forever. We have no life. There's 2, Robert, I want you to agree or disagree with this statement. There's basically 2 reasons a supplement company makes a proprietary blend. Number 1, they are pixie dusting or underdosing stuff, and they are trying to hide it. Or number 2, they got such a big ego, they think they created God's 11th commandment, and they're trying to hide it from other supplement companies.
Bingo, Steve. That's the 2 things, and that's usually the company line is that, hey, what they'll say is that we don't want anybody to steal our science and our testing that we've done, which is bullshit. Anybody that's been in the supplement game long enough knows the dosages of the active ingredients and what they should be to give you the right energy boost, the right mood, elevation, right focus. And especially for like these ergogenics here, there's absolutely no freaking reason to prop blend this. We know the the dosages of citrulline. We know the legitimate dosages of beta-alanine. Beetroot extract is not effective at all by any means. Beetroot juice, sure, has been shown to improve nitrate levels in the body, which improves nitric oxide production and delays the onset of fatigue, improves blood flow, all of those good things. But you need like 500 milliliters, so 16.9 ounces of beetroot juice. The 500 milligrams of beetroot extract that they're pixie dusting in here doesn't give you any quantifiable, meaningful amount of nitrates to boost nitric oxide production in the body. Sure, there might be some polyphenols that might help, but the amount of beetroot in here, this is pure label dressing. L-ornithine may have a supporting role with citrulline in the arginine, citrulline, nitric oxide pathway and help recycle that, as also a buffer ammonia too, which may help delay the onset of fatigue. But again, there is absolutely no reason to cloak this. So this leads me to believe that they are massively underdosing the quality ingredients in here. And then this is just, I mean, there could be 600 milligrams of caffeine in here. There could be 300. There could be 100. You don't know, which is a big problem for me. And for most consumers should have an issue with that too.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold Schinetsky said so. That is the gospel. If you can find a man more knowledgeable on this stuff than Robert, bring him to the dance. So please encourage you guys to post up your questions. Now, since we're talking about pre-workouts, if you check the link above my head on my website, superlivingtoday.com, there's a top 3 tab, and Robert has put together some of the best pre-workouts you can find on Amazon. So I encourage you guys to go over there and click through. Let's say if you look at Prolific here, you can view on Amazon. When you click on that link and buy, you put 50 cents in Robert's pocket, and Robert needs bourbon to continue to provide the expertise he does. So please, I encourage you to do so. But seriously, these are really good choices. And if you take a look at it and have any questions about them, please pick Robert's brain. From one supplement question to the next, thoughts on Gorilla Mind supplements. Have we talked about this before, Robert? Why does this sound familiar?
We have, but I believe they just recently revamped their product lineup. So which one do you want to go with? We've got Rowalski, which is just their bulk alpha-yohimbine supplement. Gorilla Mode, which is their pre-workout. Gorilla Mode Nitric is their, I'm assuming, their stim-free pre-workout. Energy, which is another pre-workout. Glycerol post-workout. EAAs, their sleep nootropic. Mind Rush, their cognitive health supplement. Smooth, fat loss formula. Which one do you want to go over, Steve?
For the sake of efficiency, let's just put this on the back burner. And if the gentleman would let us know which supplement he would like us to look at as a whole, though, Robert, do you know anything about the reputation of this company? I mean, we could, do you know anything? They've been around for a while. Are they a reasonable choice? Any off the cuff remarks?
I mean, Sandy and I have gotten a question about these guys on a couple of our Wednesday live chats. I don't know anything about the company, or if there's some big Fitstagram influencer that's attached to it. I don't really know. I know I've been asked a lot about their nootropic called Rush. It's sold out currently, but shit, man, when you've got half of the ingredients in your nootropic are proprietarily dosed and they're in a big giant prop blend, I'm not overly nuts about it. And this is more like a stim bomb than it really is a nootropic. So yeah, if he can respond and let us know what exact supplement he wants us to go over, I'd be more than happy to go into it. But this giant nasty prop blend that they got here for this nootropic, I mean, it's more like a crack and stim powder than an actual nootropic.
I'm looking at their website, and the about section doesn't really say anything. Usually if it's powered by some big knucklehead, in the industry, it lets you know right away. So I don't know who's behind it. Could be anybody. Anna Cat, stretching is a lifesaver. Help me, my knee joint pain and shoulder pain. Any advice on some stretching? I'm not an expert on stretching. I've done some static stretching over the years. I didn't find a lot of value in it. We've talked about, I think last week we were talking about the food chain of fitness, cardiovascular health and strength. And we talked a little bit about yoga. General things like that, but I don't have any opinion about. I don't have time to fit it into my life. It has value for people. Robert, do you have any thoughts on it?
I mean, just general advice would be ease your way into it. Breathe. Don't try to force yourself deeper into a stretch if your body's just not having it. Hang out there for a second. Take 3 or 4 really, really slow, calming, deep breaths, and then just try to gradually inch your way or millimeter your way down into the stretch further. And then just make it do a little bit here and there. You don't need to do like an hour of stretching at one time, or else it could actually make you more sore and feel, less awkward in the days that follow because you've overstretched. Be kind to your body. Don't ever force your way deeper into a stretch because you think you have to go that way. It's a practice, just like resistance training, just like yoga, just like anything else. Ease your way into it and you'll get, become more proficient, more flexible with it.
If I were to stretch, I would probably, or if I were to dive deep into the world of stretching, I would probably suggest the same thing I do for lifting. Make sure your body temperature is brought up a little bit, especially the muscles that you're going to stretch. I would not do them cold. Maybe do a little bit of static, say cardio, or put on a sweatshirt, sweatpants. Bring that body temperature up a little bit. And ease into them. Don't just try to go balls deep. Do it in stages. and let you don't, as you just don't jump into a 405 squat attempt. You're taking steps up. I would do the same approach with stretching. What do we got here? Is Dymatize a decent protein?
Yeah. Post cereal, so the giant cereal conglomerate Post actually just bought Dymatize maybe 2 years ago, and they released some authentic flavor collaborations like Cocoa Pebbles, Fruity Pebbles in the Dymatize protein lineup. So a lot of times in the supplement industry, you'll have flavors that are riffing on these conventional things. So instead of Skittles flavored pre-workout, it'll be called Rainbow Candy. Instead of Nerds, it'll be called Dorks. Instead of Sour Patch Kids, it'll be called Sour Kitties or something like that. So the thing with Post owning Dymatize now is that you get the actual flavor technology that's put in those cereals into the Dymatize protein. So the Cocoa Pebbles is the legitimate, Cocoa Pebbles you had when you were a kid. Same thing with the Fruity Pebbles. As far as quality, yeah, Dymatize has been around a really long time. They do some very, very good quality proteins. They actually also fund a good amount of research. That not that they're trying to sway people to buy Dymatize only supplements, but they donate a lot of protein powders to all of these research labs that are testing out, does whey protein enhance training adaptations? Does it help recovery, lean mass gains, all that stuff? So there's a good company all around here. They're based in Texas too. Yes, super good quality company. The last Dymatize protein I had was their chocolate cake batter, which that was a couple of years ago. It was very, very tasty for what I remember. So yeah, no issues there. Good quality company, and you can find it damn near everywhere.
And that's the bottom line. All right, what do we got here? Obese fam. I absolutely agree with that statement. Whatever it was, sorry, hard to tell. So when you got, we appreciate all comments. Maybe just for future reference, let us know, because things can get lost in the queue. Frank Fitness. Need some reasonable dumbbell and kettlebell only workout ideas. Should have a heavy and light dumbbell set and a heavy kettlebell 3 or 4 days a week training. All right, reasonable dumbbell and kettlebell only workout ideas. It's pretty easy to get in a good workout with dumbbells. I mean, you have dumbbell overhead presses. You have alternating dumbbell overhead presses. You have dumbbell cleans and snatches. You can do dumbbell high pulls. You can do a lot. That's just for shoulders. For bench, you can do dumbbell bench, alternating dumbbell bench, single arm dumbbell bench. You can do supersets with them between push-ups and dips. Back work, you can do 2-arm bent over dumbbell rows. You can do single arm dumbbell rows. Upper body's pretty easy. But I say chest and shoulders are the easiest. Legs are a little bit more challenging. You kind of got to do a lot of volume and do some magic supersets, but there's not a lot you can do with, if you're looking to be a mass monster, let's be real. There's not a lot you can do with dumbbells other than doing rest pause work and superset. Robert, any thoughts?
Yeah, you nailed all the upper body stuff pretty much, Steve. Lower body stuff, step ups, reverse lunges, walking lunges. You're going to have to suck it up and be ready to really, grind it out with some high volume stuff, especially if you're tapped out on your weight. So, or, deal with some like diabolical means of working your lower body. So like 1.5 reps on Bulgarian split squats or goblet squats. Those can be pretty abysmal, but they will light your quads up like few things will. So just, you're going to have to put on you're going to have to take your balls out of your purse for leg day when it comes to training with dumbbells and kettlebells. You can do front rack split squats with that. You could do front to back lunges or zombie lunges, which the zombie lunge is kind of like a walking lunge, but instead of alternating legs, you basically just drag the other leg behind you. So you lunge forward with your right leg, step up, step forward with your right leg again, do that. And so that way you're keeping more tension on that one leg and fatiguing it faster than if you were to alternate back and forth. But all the compound lists all still apply. Just you're gonna have to go higher reps or maybe play around with some advanced training techniques like Maya reps, 1.5 reps, some rest pause training, things like that.
One thing this year has forced me to do is, try to evolve the way I approach helping people with home-based leg workouts. And one of the tricks I've introduced is supersetting one leg. When you're doing your Bulgarian split squats on your left leg, superset it with like left leg 25 reps of lunges on your left leg or reverse lunges on your left leg. That'll kill you. And you can do things like box jumps if you're in good shape, along with, lunges as well, and all kinds of trickeration.
Yeah.
Beef McLewis, if my 5x5 bench PR last week did not move the same this week, should I keep shooting for that intensity? Yes, even if I'm grinding and missing reps. Don't negatively predict the future. There's no reason to assume you're going to miss reps next week. Missing reps can happen. It's very rare. We discussed this recently. The addition of one rep to a set at an even at a early or late beginner stage to early intermediate stage can add at least 5 pounds to your one rep max. So just remember, I'm not sure where you're weighted. Don't jump out of the window if you can't get a rep every workout. Just remember that one rep addition can be anywhere from 5 to 7 pounds on your one rep max. So just be patient. One workout doesn't mean anything. Anything to add, Robert?
Nope. You got that one, Steve.
All right, Sebastian, how many weekly sets per muscle group would you recommend for full body every other day? We talk about this a lot. You don't view it in terms of weekly work. So, Robert, I do my spiel every time on this. I'll let you do the dance this time.
How many weekly sets per muscle group? Anywhere between, the research side of things shows anywhere between 10 to 20 sets per group is optimal for hypertrophy across a week. 10 to 20 hard sets. So that's not like 10 warm-up sets and then 10 dick around sets. It's 10 hard sets to where you're pushing your muscles to a high level of fatigue. If you space that out for each muscle group, that you're looking at 3 to 4 working sets per muscle group per training session. So that would be people get results with lower volume. It's the intensity is going to matter to a certain degree. Volume it's a sliding scale. The more intensity you do, the less volume you can do. The higher volume you do, the lower intensity you have to do. But there's a good balance to find between the two. So some days maybe you do a little bit less volume, but you do higher intensity sets. You're either using lower rep schemes or you're pushing closer to failure. And then on the other day, maybe stay a little bit further away from failure, but bang out more reps. But anywhere in that 10 to 20 hard sets per week is enough.
I will add that there's different ways to slice and dice this. There's programming styles that are called HLM, heavy, light, medium, or moderate. I do not like putting all the heavy eggs in one basket, so you can rotate HLM on a given day. But HLM is just kind of like the way we train in general. You have a heavy lift, and then you have a little bit less intense lifts, and then you have lighter lifts. So for major body parts, generally I like to aim for 12 per week, back 15, major being shoulders, legs, chest, and back. Minor body parts 6 to 9, but that's just a starting point. I find that for 80% of the people that come to me, that's a huge step up from what they're doing now. Because they might be doing that amount of volume, but they're not doing it with a huge focus on progression. So it can be a big smack in the old groin or rooski. So that's a good starting point. Joy Pass. I heard egg whites are the best protein source. Oh, the yolks, my friends. The yolks. We have yolks for days. What's going on, Robert?
Yeah. All right. So every complete protein source, or I guess any protein source, has EAAs. So every protein source out there, the only way you get protein is from amino acids. So you have all these individual amino acids. They're held together by peptide bonds. You string enough of these polypeptides together, you get a protein. So every protein source you have, whether it's beef, chicken, pork, fish, milk, whey, casein, tofu, pea protein, they all have essential amino acids in them. Egg protein is one of the highest biologically available proteins we have out there. It's also called, sometimes you see in certain studies or advertising literature, it's nature's or the ideal human protein. Unfortunately, while egg protein is highly bioavailable, there are several studies out there that show that consuming whole eggs versus just the isolated egg white protein is better for muscle protein synthesis, lean mass gain, all that kind of stuff in the human body. So don't just eat all egg whites. Get the yolks in there too. If you're making an omelet with 3 or 4 eggs, make sure you include at least 1 or 2 yolks in there. The yolks have all of the essential vitamins, minerals, nutrients, antioxidants, all of that kind of stuff. Plus, it facilitates the absorption of all the minerals and proteins that are in the egg whites themselves. So egg whites are a great source of protein. They're not the best because whey, depending on which protein ranking scale you're looking at, whey technically has a higher biological value. It's 104 compared to egg protein, which is 100. So if we're going to start like slicing away different layers at this, you could say that whey is maybe a little bit better, but then I guess it's more processed than eggs are. To a certain extent, that doesn't really matter. But yes, to get back to your question, eggs do have plenty of amino acids in them, plenty of essential amino acids. They are complete protein, meaning they contain sufficient amounts of all non-essential amino acids that are required to stimulate and fully support muscle protein synthesis in the body. So yes, eat them, but include the yolks too.
So Robert, I'm going to backtrack a little bit for the average person watching who might not be informed. They might see these bodybuilding dudes and dudettes doing the egg white thing, and they might be, curious to jump on that train. How many grams of protein does the egg white have, and how many grams of protein does the egg yolk have? Generally, there's somewhere around 7 grams per egg, give or take the size of the egg. So how much of that is actually in the egg white?
Pretty much all of it is in the egg white. The yolk is where all the fat and vitamins and minerals are.
So it's a balance. I don't like to just view things as macronutrients. You can eat egg yolks and sugar all day and you have your carbs and your protein, but you also need to eat micronutrients. I mean, you could have coconut oil. You could make yourself a coconut oil, sugar, and egg white omelet. And you could get your fats, proteins, and carbs. But just always keep an eye on your micronutrients as well, because that's very important. So the egg yolk is one of the best sources of micronutrients, in my opinion, of course. Pork meat. If this pandemic has taught us something, it's that apparently every schmuck is a medical expert. And the sky is falling. I mean, I was thinking about this morning, and I used to listen to a lot of political radio. I used to be on the road in healthcare, and I did a lot of driving. And on the radio on AM, there's sports talk and there's politics talk, right?
Yep.
So regardless of your political party, whether you're listening to NPR or Rush Limbaugh or whatever the case is, either one, when you listen to it, after a while, it trains your brain into this: the sky is falling, the world's going to end if this happens, if that happens. And one of the best things I could do was unplug from this stuff, because yes, we have political views and differences. Even when it comes to COVID, we have differences in thoughts. But to always frame everything as the sky is falling or the world is going to end is not good for our mental health. And that's kind of where we're stuck right now in 2020. So I don't know, just rambling on. And I'm hungry. It's almost noon. It's past noon here, and I need food. John Brown, there are so many big and strong guys who can squat 315 for reps, yet their legs are still small in comparison to their upper body. I see things like this all the time, John. I see statements like this all the time. I don't know anybody that squats 315 easily for reps that has relatively small legs. I've not met such a person. So there are a lot of guys that have bigger upper bodies that don't train their legs. I've met plenty of those guys. Yes. But anybody that generally can do 315 for reps has reasonably proportionate leg size. So I think some of this is actually not true. What are your thoughts on that, Robert?
Yeah, I mean, I would need some specific examples. I mean, just speaking kind of in broad sweeping strokes that are, so many people that can do it with ease. If you can really do it with ease, I mean, are we trying to compare like a power lifter to a bodybuilder? Well, then it comes down to a matter of total weekly volume, sets and reps. Maybe in that case. I mean, the legs I'm venturing that most people, legs take a lot of work. I mean, to grow, they're difficult to train just because they consume so much oxygen, so much blood flow is going there. You have to have a high pain tolerance to grow your legs. And it's not as sexy as for some people. I love training legs personally. It's my favorite muscle group to train. I'd train it every day if I could. But some people just don't like to do it. So they may have big upper bodies, but I think it's more of a byproduct of them not training their legs with the same intensity that they're devoting, or the same volume and frequency as they're doing for their upper body. But if you can squat 315 easily for multiple reps and you're doing multiple sets of that, you're going to have some pretty decent sized legs.
I'm going to say that 20% of my client base that is lifting focused, or excuse me, 5% of my male client base that is lifting focused, and not specifically just for fat loss, squats 315 for reps. And all these guys have reasonably or proportionately reasonable leg size. I look at their arm and leg size every month, my clients, when possible. And I don't see guys with 16.5-inch arms and 22.5-inch legs that are squatting that. I simply don't. Their legs are over 24, usually 24.5. It's harder to get into that 25, 26 range naturally without a real aggressive attack on legs. So sometimes these guys are strong squatters, but let's be real here. When your legs are in the 24s, you're bigger than the average, most average men. With the growing large population, the obesity epidemic, a 24 or 24.5-inch leg doesn't seem like much, especially when some of these people walking around, these land dinosaurs walking around with like 36-inch fuscular quads. So, Scott, if I were to add weight to a squat with dumbbells, where would be the best position to hold them? Raised like this, or like a single arm, or by the side? I don't like by the side because when you try to squat down, you're holding dumbbells. They tend to get in the way. But mileage may vary. Robert, do you have any opinion on this? I've tried that over the years. I don't like it.
I mean, I think if you're a beginner and you're just starting to do it, but once you even get like a base level of strength, it really becomes prohibitive to a certain degree to do squats with dumbbells by your side. You can use it if you've got really no other choice, or if you could do like a heels elevated squat where you're putting a ton of tension into your quads. It might give you a little bit better workaround, because usually with the heel elevated squat, you can get a little bit more narrower stance, so there's less chance of the dumbbells banging into your legs on the sides. Up by your shoulders in the front rack position, or even if you go up on top of your shoulders this way, or you can do a front rack like this. Any of those are fine. The one thing you're going to have to watch out for is your the top half of your body may start to fatigue before your legs are actually torched. So your upper back might start to lose tightness, which is going to cause you to dump forward, or if you just have a weak anterior core section, that could cause you to dump forward. It's certainly not a bad idea. You're going to have to find the appropriate exercises to try it. Front loading stuff, or anterior loading with dumbbells, I find tends to work best with pistol squats. Works if you got the single leg strength with that. Reverse lunges could work, but even then, I like dumbbells by the sides for reverse lunges. You can go heavier with them, and the upper back isn't going to be the limiting factor. The upper body won't be the limiting factor. And I also like Bulgarian split squats. That's the way I do them, is holding my dumbbells by my side for that, because that really allows you to heavy up the weight there and not make the upper body the limiting factor.
One thing I'll add, when it comes to training like this, I'm not usually a big pre-exhaust type of guy, but if you're trying to get most out of your dumbbell squats or goblet squats, you might want to start off with 20 to 25 reps of body weight squats, then maybe do 20 to 30 reps of lunges, and then hit your dumbbell squats afterwards. If you find that you're running out of leg room with your dumbbells, do some super pre-exhaust trisets or something, and to squeeze every last bit you can out of them. Carlos, I think it's unconscionable in how some particular individuals believe that you can get away with isolations only. It realistically takes heavy compounds. Robert, yesterday I put out a video about Ryan Humiston, and it was passed along to me by a very large and respectable YouTube channel that I occasionally converse with. That's not Alan Roberts. But basically, it came down to the way Ryan Humiston thinks is that either you're doing a 1-rep max attempt or it has to be mind-muscle connection. There's really no middle ground for him. And he was doing a lot of, swerving and dancing around progressive overload and, compound movements, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And, basically he said, just go into the gym each day and find what exercise feels good and find that angle and find that focus on that given day and roll with it. And obviously isolation exercises, they don't have a huge progression window. So if you go into the gym, Robert, I've shared my opinion on this, but if you go into the gym and you're doing your little pinky twist, dumbbell flies, your nipple twerk, perfect angle, chesticle, whatever the fuck you're doing, how long will it take if you're not adding weight, or if you're on isolation exercise that doesn't have a huge progression window, but you're just doing your little pinky twist and your nipple twerk and all that kind of stuff that Humiston's talking about, how long is it going to take for the body to adapt to that specific stimulus? And someone could say, well, if you do a different stimulus every week, but then you're jumping from stimulus to stimulus to stimulus, are you actually going to build muscle? What are your thoughts, Robert?
I don't think so. I mean, it's from a novelty perspective, doing different exercises every week, it's great. It keeps you mentally engaged and it feels like something's new. But the problem is you're not effectively overloading the tissues, because you're spending, your brain and your nervous system are having to spend so much energy learning a new movement pattern. You're not actually able to build upon your previous performance. So you don't really know if you're getting stronger, you're gaining more muscle, because your body's spending so much time trying to figure out what the fuck it's doing with the exercise. Every new little variation or twerk, twist, whatever, nipple grab, whatever terms you were just using there. Right. So that's why, novelty is great. And that's why things like P90X and Insanity and all those Beachbody programs were so popular, is that it gives the illusion of progression and making progress in your workouts, when all it is your body's trying to adapt and learn how to do a new stimulus. You're not actually inducing overload. So yeah, I think Humiston's points could be beneficial for the late intermediate to advanced lifter that has gotten the most out of being the basics. They've milked everything they can. Maybe they're hitting to where they can't easily add weight or reps every week. So maybe going in and doing a different exercise variation could be good for like an advanced level bodybuilder or something. And I think maybe that's where some of the disconnect is that people aren't understanding where his points are coming from. I don't think he's talking to the beginners, the early intermediates, even the middle intermediates, anymore about that stuff. I don't think that's where his advice is geared towards. I think it's more of the late intermediate or advanced individuals that are looking to maybe spark some new growth, tap into some uncover some new gains that they haven't gotten before. And maybe that's when you can go in and say, hey, maybe leg press isn't feeling good today. Maybe I'll try the hack squat, or I'll try a pendulum squat or something like that. And then, you go to absolute failure, you do a rest pause set, or you do some kind of overload that way, or you're inducing a high level of fatigue into the muscles. But for the beginners, early intermediates, and even the middle intermediates, I don't think that advice is particularly useful at all.
I'm going to go on the record and say I think Ryan Humiston's a complete babbling idiot. And you can quote me on that, because look, jumping from stimulus to stimulus to stimulus, if day one you do a muscle building workout, week one you do muscle building, week two you do ultra running, week three you do sled drags and tire flips, and you're confusing the body, right? But none of that's going to, there's a difference between confusing the body. That does not equal hypertrophy. That equals confusing the body. So that's one thing to consider. I also think he has a big ego, and what he does now, I think it's like drinking God's blood. What I do now, because I thought of it, is something you should do. It's Mike Mentzer syndrome all over again. Building your body one way, and then after your body's beat the shit, you decide to train it a different way, and then you preach your new gospel. Mm-hmm. That's the Frank Zane syndrome as well. I talked to Frank Zane. Frank Zane did the exact same thing. He built his muscle on what he told me were the odd lifts. Back in the day, odd lifts were the powerlifting lifts. And then when he had 95% of the muscle gains he had at his peak, he started doing the mind muscly pinky twist nipple twerk shit. And, that was equated with Frank Zane, how he built his physique, but it's not how he built his physique. Mm-hmm. So we just need to be aware of that. Share at MZ, first like. All right. We're having a really slow time on Facebook today. We have no real Facebook interaction, which is shocking. So any of the Facebook people out there, please drop a bomb on us. Give us a question. We got about 35 minutes left, guys. So if you have questions, get them on in. Stealthy Metroid, could you comment on your longevity and health views of cross training versus one specific discipline like powerlifting, Olympic weightlifting, bodybuilding, etc.? Robert, I'm going to let you lead with this. What are the values for longevity and health of doing multiple physical activities or endeavors?
I mean, I think there's a ton of benefits from both the mental and the physical side. So mentally, you're helping by exposing your body to different stimuli, to doing different things. You're going to be affecting the neurological pathways in the brain. So you're going to be creating different connections between the different neurons. So it's going to be a neurogenerative process. So it will strengthen, fortify, and build new neurons in the brain, which are great for cognitive health, staving off dementia, Alzheimer's, all the bad stuff you don't want as you age. So from that side, it's good to do other things. It's also helps if you're just going 6 days a week and doing bodybuilding workout after bodybuilding workout after bodybuilding workout, it's going to become very boring, mundane, and a lot of people will get burnt out of that. So having elements of cross training in there where maybe you do 3 days of bodybuilding workouts, 2 days of running, 1 day of yoga, it provides a little bit of reprieve mentally from the daily grind of one specific training system. So it'll help you keep you fresh. It'll help keep you excited, engaged, and motivated during your training program, which ultimately helps you push harder in all of those various areas of fitness that you're trying to be engaged in. From the physical side, we can always, cross training helps prevent overuse injuries. So, if you went to the gym every day and you just did 6 sets of squats every day and try to go and hit your 10 rep max every day on squats, eventually you're going to develop overuse injuries. You could have tendon degradation, ligament joint degradation, all those kind of things. So by exposing your body to different stimuli, attacking it from different angles, you're placing different stresses on different aspects of the musculature and your connective tissue to where you're not grinding through that same movement pattern each day, every day, which is going to help hopefully prevent symptoms of overtraining, excessive fatigue, excessive stress on those exact same points in those same physical structures of the body. Plus, it may also help strengthen up weaker areas in the body. So let's say one day you're going to be doing, we tend to do a lot of work in like this front to back plane. We don't do a lot of work in the side to side plane. So maybe, 1 day of training, you're working more your lateral movements where you're going side to side, which will help strengthen up your adductors, your glute medius, which will pay dividends in strengthening that supporting musculature to where they're not going to be as limiting of a factor when you go back to doing like your regular squats and lunges like that. So I think overall, just from the physical and mental point of view, I think it's important that you don't get stuck in just one thing. It's great that you have a passion, and one of those things can certainly be the primary thing that you do. Like resistance training is the core of what Steve and I both do, but he also adds in some running. I add in some martial arts and some other interval training and some yoga here and there. But the core of it is the resistance training, the lifting. But all those other aspects complement, enhance, and keep you fired up and engaged about the primary physical activity in which you're engaged. So I think that's a 5-minute ramble of a lot of things. So I hope that made sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's what I'm about to say can get a little bit confusing, and one might be tempted to try to squeeze everything in during the week, but it's not so. But I want to give you guys some things to think about. I've been strength training forever, and I have a world-class running coach because I want to learn not only how to improve my performance, but how to help others, beginners, run better. and they have me doing running specific calisthenics and movements and stuff as part of their strength training protocol. And, you know, not wanting to be dismissive, I wanted to learn something. So I'm doing curtsy lunges and Supermans and things I've never done before, you know, alternating leg sit-ups. And one thing you learn over time is that the body is very, specific, adaptation to specific demands is a real thing. You can be strong as Hercules, you know, on certain movements, but you do a curtsy lunge, it'll humiliate you, you know, so there is benefit to plugging into multiple holes just from a overall health standpoint. If you want to be the best you can be, a little bit of resistance training, a little bit of cardio, a little bit of this fringe calisthenic, you know, stuff, maybe a little bit of yoga. There's so many different things you can plug into. Something that gets, you know, health is we have to consider it from a holistic standpoint. Getting outdoors, hiking, you know, there's value in hiking, running, walking. So I believe a little bit of plugging into each is not a bad thing. You just have to keep balance in your life. I know Joe Rogan does a little bit of everything. You know, he likes to get in a good strength training workout every week. He likes to do hot yoga. He likes to do martial arts. He likes to do kettlebell stuff. We can kind of get lost in the lifting world with only wanting to do lifting because we're afraid of losing our gains. But there's a lot of value in being more well-rounded. Let's be honest. Most lifting channels call themselves a fitness channel. They don't have a fucking thing to do with fitness. I mean, just because you can lift a dumbbell doesn't mean you're fit. There's a lot of fat, out of shape, unhealthy, unfit people that can lift dumbbells. So that's the bottom line. Frank D. Wright, no election talk. Nope, we're only talking erections today. It's Friday.
This is not a political channel.
Yeah. Talk elections, dysfunction, etc. Nah, no election talk. I mean, regardless of where you're at, you know, it is what it is. Focus on what you can control in life. Be a good person. Be kind, and just hope the maniac in charge of the day doesn't do anything that'll require us to destroy more businesses in 2021. Thoughts on Myoprotein brand whey isolate lineup. My protein brand. I said Myo. Sorry.
Yeah, they are one of the biggest, if not the biggest, protein providers in the UK. Everything I've seen is that they're a top quality company as far as what goes in the bag. So it'll match label claims. It's a good quality product. I haven't tried any MyProtein products in probably 3 years. At that time, the flavoring was just kind of eh. I mean, it's good for the price and the quality, and it is great. Just the taste and texture weren't all that phenomenal. So if you're looking for like a good bargain protein that's decent flavoring, decent textured, but good quality, yeah, you can go for that. There's no issues with it. You don't have to worry about them doing amino spiking or anything like that. It just may not be as good tasting as some of the other options on the market.
I'm curious to think what everybody has to say regarding flavoring. I mean, flavoring's a killer. If, you know, I've tested when I was, at Tiger Fitness, we would come through with the vegan protein powders that were a little gritty and tasted like ass. And I really wanted to like them. I really wanted to like certain companies, but their flavorings were like, everything was dipped in ball sweat or something. When it comes to you guys watching, you know, how much is a buzzkill is bad flavor? I mean, if you find a protein company that you like and you trust and something's not right, do you just take it like a man or a woman, or do you just move on to a different line?
Yeah, I would move on. I mean, just personally speaking, there is zero excuse these days to have a crappy tasting protein powder. Pre-workouts can be one thing because a lot of the herbals, the botanicals that are in there, even stimulants, have a very, very bad flavor. But all the advancements they've had in flavoring technologies, thickeners, stabilizers, texture enhancers, there is zero cause to have a bad tasting, bad mixing, bad textured protein powder. It's just it's lack of effort and work on the company putting it out there. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, and I've had the privilege of being an insider in the industry for a very long time, and by that, I've seen, I've been involved with the development of Big J's brand and tasted products for Mike Rashid and CT Fletcher and the Hodge twins and all, you name it. But I've also seen all these protein company, bodybuilding company schmucks come in because they all look the same. They're all like ILS and they walk in and they all got the same fucking Jay Cutler shark haircut, and they are what they are, right? But when it comes to whey protein, you have like the shark haircut, ILS guys that run these companies, and then you have like normal people.
Yeah.
But the shark haircut ILS guys, it sounds comical, but there's a grain of truth in this. They tend to eat the same foods all the time. They tend to be super strict with their diets. And when I've seen it in my office, I've seen it, at these companies I work for, they'll taste a flavor and they'll be like, this is the greatest thing I've ever tasted. And you'll taste it and it tastes like a fucking camel's ass, Yeah. So that's kind of one of the reasons why a lot of these companies, go south. That like some big ego at the top thinks it's the greatest thing he's ever tasted, and it really tastes like a rat's testicle.
Yep.
So, all right, wake up, dog. Enough snoring. She's full on the snore train right now. Could you review Gorilla Mode pre-workout? Gorilla Mode pre-workout.
Yeah, that's the Gorilla Mode one that we were just talking about. So yeah, I'll pull it up. I've got it right here.
Is that the one we just did?
Well, we did the Gorilla Mind. We didn't go over Gorilla Mode. So,
oh, sorry.
I've got the
Mind Mode. I'm lost.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Boop, boop. Boop, boop.
And we got a Gorilla Mind follow-up as well. Gorilla Mode pre-workout.
All right. This is their stim pre-workout. It's 40 servings, 20 servings. So this is the 40 serving side, so a half serving, and so you're getting 20 full servings in this pre-workout. So 20 full servings right here on this side. 9 grams of L-citrulline, which is a super, super good quality dose. As I mentioned earlier, the research studies are showing anywhere between 2.4 to 10 grams. 10 grams is the max dosage you could have of citrulline before it starts getting converted and excreted into all kinds of other byproducts and metabolites in the body. So 9 grams is more than you're seeing in, I would say, 90% of other pre-workouts. The average dose that most companies put in nowadays is somewhere between 4 to 6, with most companies leaning towards 6 grams of pure L-citrulline. And now here we get 5 grams of creatine monohydrate, solid dose there. Creatine doesn't have to be in a pre-workout. It can be taken any time of day, but if you're going to do it right and put the full dose in there. So, I'm glad with that. 3 grams of glycerol powder. Glycerpump, it's a 65% yield glycerol, so you're going to get maybe, around 2 grams of actual glycerol here. A lot of the supplement companies will say, hey, it enhances. So glycerol is an osmolyte, so it encourages your cells to soak up a lot of water. So the whole belief is that cell volumization, it increases the size of the muscle cell, and this creates a state of hyperhydration, which is supposed to delay the onset of fatigue, improve fatigue resistance, and enhance, muscle pumps, muscle fullness, cell volumization, and overall endurance. The problem with that is all the glycerol studies that have been done in endurance athletes use a dosage of 1 gram of glycerol per kilogram of body weight. So you're only getting 2 grams here. To actually get any clinically meaningful benefits of glycerol supplementation, say you weigh 75 kilograms, you need 75 grams of glycerol, which that would make this turn to, that's why they sell those giant tubs of glycerol just in like liquid form. Glycerol supplements, more often than not, it's just window dressing. They don't add all that much to it. I don't think they enhance the pumps or cell volumization to any meaningful degree. And they lead to a fuck ton of clumping issues with pre-workouts. Malic acid, a lot of the times in pre-workouts, you'll see something called citrulline malate. What they're doing here, malate is malic acid. It's a naturally occurring acid that is in apples. It gives the tartness to apples. And so citrulline malate, you'll see it listed on there. And if this was in a regular or another supplement tub, you might see citrulline malate and you'll see 12 grams of that. The thing is that most citrulline malate, when it's actually listed as citrulline malate, they don't make, it's supposed to be ionically bonded, which means the citrulline and the malate are fused. But once you put it in water, they immediately disperse. So what supplement companies are starting to do now is that since they don't really sell bonded citrulline malate anymore, every citrulline malate that you see included in a pre-workout is just a pre-mixed blend of L-citrulline and malic acid that they've put up in a blender, mix it all together, and then they dump it in there. So here what they're doing, which is kind of nice, is that they're breaking out the citrulline and the malic acid into their two separate components. This is purely for flavoring. There's some theoretical mechanisms by which malic acid may help energy production via the Krebs cycle in the body, but none of those have ever been shown to have any tangible benefit in humans. And malic acid or malate is not a limiting factor in energy production in the body anyway. So this is mostly just flavoring right here. Betaine anhydrous, this is the full clinical dose of that. It's an osmolyte similar to creatine. It assists with methylation in the body. Also, it enhances endogenous creatine production, and it acts as an osmolyte, so more cellular swelling, more cell volumization, shown to enhance training adaptation, strength, power, lean mass gains, all that good stuff, similar to creatine. 1,500 milligrams of L-tyrosine, that's a good dose that's going to support dopamine production, and it's got some anti-stress benefits in the body. I'd prefer 2 to 3 grams, but 1,500 grams is a sufficient dose. Agmatine sulfate, it stimulates eNOS, which is endothelial nitric oxide synthase, which is the enzyme that catalyzes nitric oxide production in the body. So that's going to work really well in tandem with the L-citrulline. The 1 gram dose there is solid. And it also has some arginase inhibiting properties. So arginase is the enzyme in the body that breaks down arginine. So citrulline in the body, once it gets past the gut, gets into the bloodstream, is converted to arginine, which is the fuel for nitric oxide production. So by inhibiting the enzyme that limits, by inhibiting the enzyme that breaks down arginine, you're leading to more arginine levels in the blood, which is going to, in theory, support greater levels of nitric oxide production in the body. There's also some cool neuroregulatory and neuromodulatory properties about agmatine in that it blunts perceptions of pain. So it might help you grind out a few more reps. Kanna is an anti-anxiety, anti-stress ingredient. This is just a generic extract. I'm more a fan of the Zembrin or the Kanna-Ease form of Kanna, which is a 50 milligram dose, and it's standardized to a certain percentage of the bioactive alkaloids in there. Without knowing the standardization of this, I can't really give a thumbs up or thumbs down on the actual ingredient. It's a calming ingredient in a pre-workout. I don't really like calming ingredients in my pre-workout. They tend to take too much of the edge off. 350 milligrams of caffeine anhydrous, nice high stim dose there of caffeine. 350 milligrams of N-phenyl dimethylamine citrate, which is that mood-boosting, euphoria-inducing alkaloid from the Urea gerensis plant. That's a super high dose of that. I like that dose of it. Anywhere in the 200 to 400 milligram range is good. Bioperin, which is going to enhance the absorption of all of this other good stuff in here. And then 400 micrograms of huperzine. That's a little bit on the high side for me. Most pre-workouts will put anywhere between 50 to 200 micrograms in a full serving. The issue I have with huperzine is that it's been studied up to 500 micrograms in individuals with Alzheimer's disease, so people that have neurodegeneration. Giving such a high dose to healthy functioning brains, I find it often leads to headache, brain fog, or just adverse side effects where you kind of just feel spaced out the whole day, especially if it's paired with any other kind of like cholinergic donor like an alpha GPC, or if you eat a lot of egg yolks or anything like that. Plus, this also has a super high half-life, which it's 16 to 20 hours somewhere in the body. So if you take this and then you take their stim-free pre-workout or their nootropic or something, and you get even more huperzine, that you're going to be in for a world of hurt from like a brain standpoint. So overall, I think there's really quality dosages in here. I just have a few nitpicks about, the Kanna, and I think the huperzine dose is a little bit too high. But overall, it's a solid product.
And Robert, we got a follow-up question. Thanks for all that, Robert. That was amazing. The Gorilla Mind brand, what's on their stim-free pre-workout? Okay. Seems like this is we got some comments. I want to drop this in there real quick, Robert. It said this is formulated by Derek from More Plates, More Dates, a YouTube channel. He's a true expert in pharmacology and makes the most informative videos I've ever seen. I don't know him, and I just want to pass this through the filter real quick. I've had some really smart supplement people in my office that aren't always great at putting the puzzle pieces together. So that's just always keep that in mind. And then let's look at products as they are and just judge them individually. So, Robert?
All right, so this is the Gorilla Mind. This is their pump supplement. So like I said before, we got 10 grams of citrulline here. So it's a 40-20 serving. Again, 40 servings is on the left, 20 servings is on the right. 10 grams of L-citrulline. So if you're going to stack this with Their stim pre-workout, just do 1 scoop of each. You don't need to go if you give yourself, 19 grams of L-citrulline, you're going to be in for a world of hurt for your stomach. And you're just going to be pissing away money at that point because your body can't utilize that much citrulline at an acute dose. 5 grams of creatine monohydrate, great dose there. 4 grams of betaine, it's an osmolyte. The research back dose is 2.5 grams, so I think that's overkill here. 4 grams of glycerpump, again. Combining these two, these are both very hygroscopic ingredients, which means they have a very high affinity for water. So if you live in anywhere remotely humid or even not a very humid environment, this thing is going to clump pretty quickly if you don't go through it in like a week or 2 after you initially open the tub. It will clump. Glycerol, I left my thoughts on that, the previous thing about it. You need a very high dose to get any tangible hyperhydration state from glycerol. It's window dressing. It may have some benefit, but I think it's been massively overplayed by the supplement industry. Malic acid, 3 grams, good there. It's going to be flavoring. It's not really conferring any kind of endurance boosting effects. 1,500 milligrams of agmatine sulfate. So we got 500 more than the stim pre-workout. Again, helps reduce perception of pain, could support some nitric oxide by stimulating eNOS in the body and also inhibiting the activities of arginase, providing for longer, stronger, more sustained muscle pumps, nitric oxide production, vasodilation. Now, here's a fun ingredient, nitrosogene, that we don't talk about a whole lot. 1,500 milligrams is the clinically proven, clinically researched dose. A lot of the times we bag on regular L-arginine because it is useless. Citrulline is a more effective precursor to raising plasma arginine levels in the body than regular free-form L-arginine is. That's because arginase, which is what agmatine is inhibiting, gobbles up all the arginine in the stomach before it can really get into the small intestines, where then it gets translated into the bloodstream, which then can go to your muscles from there. This nitrosogene is inositol stabilized arginine silicate. So they take the arginine molecule, they attach some inositol to it, also add some silicate to it, and that makes it allow it to bypass arginase metabolism. So then it can get into the small intestine and get into the bloodstream. And there's been quite a few studies on nitrosogene showing that 14 days of straight supplementation elevates baseline nitric oxide levels in the body, and as little as 45 to 60 minutes post-ingestion, it has been shown to significantly increase blood flow parameters in the blood. The one caveat I'm going to say is that this is really overkill here from a formulation standpoint. 1,500 milligrams of nitrosogene plus 10 grams of L-citrulline. These are both accomplishing the exact same thing, which is to elevate arginine levels in the blood. Your average individual, a lot of this is going to get metabolized and recycled into something else. So you could easily lower this to 3, 4, 5 grams and you'll get just as much pumps, blood flow, and everything as you will by combining this with the 1,500 milligrams of nitrosogene. It's overkill on this aspect here. I would say you could easily lower this. 1,500 milligrams sodium nitrate is going to supply a little over 1 gram of actual nitrates. So in the blood, in the body, there are 2 pathways for enhancing nitric oxide production. You've got the citrulline, arginine, nitric oxide pathway, which is what citrulline and nitrosogene are supporting. Then you also have the nitrate, nitrite, nitric oxide pathway, which is what things like sodium nitrate and beetroot juice are going to be supporting. So this is the more powerful nitric oxide pathway in the body, the nitrate-based one. And this is a quality dose on the sodium nitrate. This combined with the nitrosogene and the citrulline, you're going to be in store for a lot of pumps on this one. Vasodrive AP is a combination of some lactotripeptides, so a chain of 3 amino acids that are found in hydrolyzed milk casein, as they say here. The bottom dose that you can get away with is 254 milligrams, but the actually effective research dose is 512 milligrams. So you might get some benefits at the 254, and a lot of companies will put in the 254. That's just because this is a very expensive ingredient. It's a little hard to flavor at the same time too. And what it does is it inhibits angiotensin converting enzyme 2. So ACE is a angiotensin converting enzyme is a vasoconstricting enzyme. So it forces your blood vessels to get smaller, get shrink, which would limit blood flow, muscle pumps, vasodilation, all that. So Vasodrive AP, by inhibiting the ACE enzyme, it will promote more vasodilation. So it's going to work in concert with the citrulline, agmatine, nitrosogene, and nitrate in a different manner than they are. So it's going to hit at a different point at the nitric oxide blood flow pathway than all of the other ingredients in there are. So again, a really well-dosed formula. I think it's a little overkill on 1 or 2 of the ingredients. But overall, it's a good, solid formula.
And just again, I want to go to this comment. That's from Derek from More Plates, More Dates YouTube channel. I've not watched his channel, but it would probably be good fodder for Robert to have him join Robert on his podcast. So,
Yeah.
Anything else, Robert?
Gorilla Mode Energy. What's this one? This is just a pure stim thing, which has kind of got some it's a lot of the elements from the other one that were just pulled out. So we got 3 grams of tyrosine, which I love that dose. 1,000 milligrams of Kana. Without knowing the standardization on it, it's really hard to tell if that's a good dose on it. And some high doses of Kana give people some stomach upset. 375 of caffeine, very high stimulant. 375 of the ass-kicking alkaloid from Maria Durensis. Again, 400 micrograms of huperzine. I don't like that dose that high for the average individual, especially for somebody that's normal, healthy cognitive functioning. That's something that's supposed to be used. I would use that exceedingly sparingly. A couple times a week at most, just that high of a dose. And most of the time I would tell somebody just to use 1 scoop.
All right, Robert, we're going to swerve directions real quick. And we're going to do some geography. We're going to do geography. We got a question coming up. No, I just want to drop this in here real quick before we do the next question. Sumi Yati is tuning in from Brunei, which is right here. And I don't know that we've ever had anybody tune in. That's between Philippines, Cambodia, Malaysia.
Very cool.
And I just want to point that out because that is a very, very small country and you never hear. So welcome. I just wanted to thank you for joining us. And guys, before we answer this question, last call, we're at an hour and 50 minutes. If you got a question, get it in now. We will squeeze it in. Benjamin Swisher, how much? Oh, I just spit when I said Swisher. How much will chewing tobacco affect my gains? Robert, I'm going to let you answer that, and then I'm going to share opinion about chewing tobacco.
I mean, it will it affect my gains? I mean, do you consider cancer to be something that affects your gains? I mean, there's a lot of data showing that chewing tobacco can lead to all sorts of mouth and throat cancers and all that kind of good stuff. Nicotine is good from like a cognitive standpoint and energy standpoint, but it's an addictive substance. And yeah, I don't really think it's a good thing to be dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, look, gains, no, but I'm going to be honest with you, Benjamin, because I don't know a lot of people are going to be honest with you about this. And it's I'm not judging anybody. Life is hard. You want to smoke cigarettes, you want to do chewing tobacco, it's your life. God bless you. I don't really care. I pass you on the street. You do whatever you want to do, right? But smokers stink. We all know that. They don't know they stink, but they stink, and it's repulsive to me. It is. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. But chewing tobacco, the guys I've hung around with for a long time that do a lot of chewing tobacco, their breath stinks. It reeks. It absolutely stinks to high heaven. It smells like just a combination of spit and this vulgar nastiness. So, it's not going to affect your gains, but it's going to affect your sex life gains. I don't know if anybody's telling this, but your mouth reeks. It's like the devil's vagina. It just smells like nasty spit. So I would encourage you to drop it just for that reason, because nobody's telling you, but your mouth stinks. All right, Ketel Paulson. I would say the slingshot has done wonders for my bench. Could not lift 225 4 months ago. Have since used the slingshot every day on bench and just repped out 225 for 4x10. Well done. I'm a big fan of the slingshot. I'm not a fan of a lot of equipment additions. The slingshot and VersaGrips, huge fan. Used them forever and can't speak highly enough about them. John Brown, my program is upper, chest, shoulders, and rows, and lower, legs, calves, and pull-ups. It may be unorthodox, but it's been working. There is nothing wrong with that. Rows and pull-ups are 2 different movement patterns, horizontal row and a vertical row or vertical pull. So that can work. Just make sure your biceps are recovered. Anything to add to that, Robert?
Nothing on my end. I like legs and pull-ups at the same time. I've done that before too. And you've done a couple of programs where you got your push on one day and then your legs and back on the other. I like legs and back. It's a bitch, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's like which demon do you want to dance with? Do you want to have 2 leg days a week, or do you want to split it up and have legs and back twice a week or whatever? So
Yeah.
I just prefer it that way. 2 leg days a week, I'd rather just smash my head into a mirror and just have, I hope
Yeah.
RKO by Orton. How much do I need to train if I just want to maintain my current strength and muscle mass? You don't really need to do much at all. You can drop the volume a little bit, drop but it's not hard to keep that in motion. You could probably train 2 days a week. I would even say you could probably do as little as 4 to 5 sets per major muscle group and maintain. That's just my off the cuff opinion. Robert, any science or thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, most of the research is showing, I want to say somewhere around in the neighborhood of like 1/3 to 1/2 of your regular volume that you're doing is enough to just maintain strength. And I believe just doing one hard set, like working up to one hard set, has been shown to be enough for maintaining strength gains, not necessarily muscle mass, because muscle mass is more volume based than just pure neurological adaptations like strength is. So one super hard, heavy set is enough for strength. And then you probably want somewhere in the neighborhood of like half of your regular training volume is enough to maintain your muscle mass for a considerable length of time.
That's one of the reasons why I'm doing an 8x8, just to get some volume in while I'm running. It's a lot easier on my joints. Hey, we have a Facebook question and a donut. What dumbbell or barbell movement would mimic the leg extension the best? Dumbbell or barbell movement? I got a hack squat device, not a hack squat device. What do you call it?
Sissy squat.
Sissy squat device, and that really mimics it well. It's basically the same movement pattern, but what can you do with a dumbbell or barbell that mimics you? I know the old schoolers used to do the sissy squat. Do we? Let me pull up a picture of that. Have you ever messed with the sissy squat?
Oh yeah.
It's a little bit funky dunky.
It can be. You just got to work your way into it and get your knees acclimated to that kind of a movement pattern again. Other movements, I mean, you could just do a split squat is fine. I don't know if you're going to need to find something exactly that is the exact same thing, but any quality leg exercise, any kind of walking lunge, step up, split squat, Bulgarian split squat is going to be more than enough to attack the same pathways, that hit the tissues from the same angles as a leg extension will. You could also do something, wrap a band around a post or a door or something like that and do terminal knee extensions. That's another way to do something similar to a leg extension.
I've seen people put dumbbells on there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do a dumbbell raise that would mimic the leg extension if you're dead set on doing that. I don't know that it's necessary, like Robert said.
No.
If you really, really want to do it. Mike Hall, do you ever take a break from using pre-workout? Oh, absolutely. I keep one around. When I was hardcore powerlifting, I would generally take one just, like for good luck, one way or the other. I'm going to get the most out of what I'm doing. Now I rarely take one. I'll keep it around if I just need a kick in the pants. Do you take a pre-workout every day, Robert? What's your ritual?
I mean, I get this question a lot, and it really depends on what is in the pre-workout itself. So if you're having just a pre-workout that's got citrulline, agmatine, tyrosine, and it's got something like just caffeine in it as the primary stimulant, do I see the need that you need to cycle off pre-workout? Not necessarily, because what most people consume an energy drink every day and or a cup of coffee or a soda or something like that. So, from a stimulant standpoint, it's the exact same thing. It's caffeine. It's just coming in a different form. When you start getting into some of the other stimulants like the DMAAs, the DMHAs, amp citrates, the N-phenethyl dimethylamine citrate that we were talking about with the Grillamine stuff, those I don't think you should be using every day. I think you should use those maybe 2 to 3 times a week at most, those kind of products that include it. The reason is those have such a rapid onset of tolerance that you really stop getting like the euphoria, the intense added energy rush from them when you take it any more than like 2 or 3 days a week. So if it's just purely caffeine, I don't see the need to necessarily take a break from pre-workout. If you get to the point where you're taking like multiple scoops of it a day just to try and make it through your day, that's more of a caffeine addiction, I think, than a pre-workout addiction. But hey, if taking a pre-workout gets you in the mindset to crush your workout, I don't have an issue personally with using it every training session. If it helps you push that much harder, if it's got certain nootropics in it, like the huperzine that has a super high dose in it, I think that should be used sparingly. And so, rotate between a couple of different pre-workouts, some that have different nootropics in them, some that have a little bit higher or lower caffeine content. So I don't use the same pre-workout every day I train, and I train, it's 4 to 5 days per week. So, I'll use, if I'm training 4 days a week, I'm probably using 3 different pre-workouts that week, or 2 different pre-workouts at least, just because I've got a bunch here and I like to try different ones. And some days I don't have any. It's just I have a cup of coffee in the morning, and then maybe I'll do a non-stim pump pre-workout, or just nothing. If it's like an interval training day or something like that, I'll just have my cup of coffee in the morning when I'm writing, and then that's it for the rest of the day. There's no other stims or anything.
Thanks, Robert. We got Adolfo. I'm 51 years old, been lifting with consistency for 7 years. Last Friday, I had an accident and broke my left wrist. Exercises I could do, or do I have to wait? This is a question I struggle with a lot. Mm-hmm. If you jack up one side of your body, do you just wait, until they both heal, or do you train one side? I personally, and I'd like to hear what you think, Robert, I personally would probably use that time to lick my wounds and come back with both body parts. Given that muscle memory is a real thing, and when you come back, generally your muscle mass and strength are going to come back rather quickly, I personally would wait. I broke my wrist before. So what are your thoughts, Robert? Do you find there value in just training one side? Are you going to encourage uneven development? Is it going to be harder when you come back just training one side? What are your thoughts?
Well, assume so if your upper half is busted, you can still do cardio. You can still work out your lower half of your body. Obviously, you're not going to be able to hold much weight with a broken wrist, but maybe you can do some machine movements for your lower body, leg press, leg extension, leg curl, hack squat, those kind of things. There is some research showing that when one side of the body is, held up like in a cast or something like that, training the other side does have an effect where, like, say you're just doing curls on this side, there will be some added growth on the other side of your body, not to the same degree as to the side you're training, obviously, but there is some stimulation of those protein synthetic pathways in the muscle that helps retain some of that tissue. So, if only one side of yours, I wouldn't go crazy, but I would maybe do maintenance volume for the side of your body that isn't jacked up. Just some low-level exercise just to keep blood flow and circulation, and just on the off chance that, hey, there is some stimulation of the muscle building pathways in the side that's not working, even if you're working the opposite side of your body.
Yeah, that's a good point. I could see trying to maintain strength. I think that's a reasonable approach, maintaining strength. So yeah, I'd like to hear what anybody else thinks, but that's a good call on Robert's part. Mini Pluto, hey, big hairy ugly dude, how would you go about attacking your squat and training for a 5K race? So with what I know about running, the biggest mistake I made was, well, it wasn't a mistake. We committed to running 10 hours a week as a charity run for paralyzed boys. So it wasn't a mistake. I committed to it and followed through. Was it the best thing for building up speed and endurance and time? No. I'm running less now and actually running faster. So generally, somebody training for a 5K, I would probably recommend a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday training protocol. Tuesday and Thursday, maybe running, 2 to 3K, whatever, 20 to 30 minutes. And on Saturday, running as far as you can until you're sick of yourself and sick of life. With that said, you want to have ample recovery time before you do your squat training. Okay, so I don't like running the day before squats. So if you're going to run on Saturday, it might be in your best interest to either run on a Monday or do squats on a Monday or do squats on a Tuesday followed by a run. You could also squat on Tuesday, run Wednesday and Thursday, and then do a longer run on Saturday, and then maybe a short recovery run on Sunday. So my best advice is to put as recovery in as you can before you squat. And don't think you have to run 5 days a week to get to that 5K level. Even as little as 3 times a week is probably going to be beneficial and probably a good mix for the average lifter. I always stick to vanilla and chocolate. Can't go wrong. Unless you run into like MTS cookies and cream or something, then your life changes. Have you ever had one of those life-changing flavors, Robert, when it comes to protein powder?
Yeah, when I had the MTS, the peanut butter cookies and cream, holy shit. That was amazing. The Apollo Nutrition peanut butter cookie is phenomenal. That's another one that's up there as like, damn, you got to try this.
I think Core Nutritionals, I don't know if they still had it, but they had like peanut butter ice cream or something.
Mm-hmm.
I remember trying that when I was at Muscle and Strength, and like that's all I wanted to eat that day was that protein powder.
Yeah, there's some really, really good ones. That's why I'm saying there's no reason to have a bad tasting protein powder.
Get samples if you can. Stein, what's the best, krill oil or fish oil?
It's not really an either or proposition. They both have their benefits. It's kind of like saying what's better, apples or oranges. They both have their benefits. They both have their high points. You can get benefits from both of them.
Yeah, do both missionary style and doggy style. You'll be good. Sorry. It's kind of the same argument. Couldn't help myself.
Agreed.
All right. Mini Pluto, also still making linear gains for squats. Don't think in terms of linear, progression. Please don't. I mean, it's very short lasting. As if you analyze, how many rep gains it actually takes you to go from 225 to a 315 squat, you realize it's not that many. About 14, 15, and it's very hard to get those in a linear fashion. The problem with linear progression is people that push it don't understand math or have never tried to, life is not linear. Strength is not progress linear. It's on a curve, diminishing curve, diminishing returns. Linear progression is very short-lived. So just follow my advice and have a reasonable program and you'll be fine. Thoughts on squatting every day? Just because you can do something doesn't mean it's the best thing to do. When you increase, dog snort again, when you increase your frequency, look, this is a very sexy protocol. Bulgarians, Chinese, Russians, squats, very sexy. But is it, it's a meat grinder system as well. I've seen a lot of people talk about programs like this over the years, but I've not seen a lot of people actually complete them, right? With that said, when I was at my strongest, I was frequently squatting. I started out every other day, and then I moved on to every third day because mentally it was very challenging. I would squat at least 500 for reps every single day, usually from 545 to 640 on my back every day, depending on how I felt. So mentally, it's extremely challenging, regardless of what weight you're at. I do not like squat everyday protocols. That's an arbitrary, I got to squat every day. I prefer squatting every third day. I think that's the best. If you want more frequent squatting, I think that's the best mix of mental and physical load. That's just my opinion. If you want to squat every single day, you need to listen to your body and only take what it gives. And that requires paying attention during your warm-up sets and shutting stuff down. Don't stick to a program because the program says this percentage sets and reps. You're going to beat the crap out of your body. If your body's beat up, if your central nervous system's torqued, you got to listen to your body. Have not used the Versagrips, but I have the Credo bands. Any opinion on which is better? All I know is my Versagrips are like 12 years old and they're still going. But I imagine they're not that much different. As long as they're easy to tighten up, snug up. Shouldn't really matter. You from, how are you? Fine, thank you. Adil's training. Is Bruce Lee the ultimate alpha male? No. This is a good discussion. You get some people out of like, is Bruce Lee the ultimate alpha male? Robert, you're more in martial arts. What are your thoughts about Bruce Lee? Bruce Lee was a mystical, magical figure that was elevated into a godlike creature.
He did a lot of cool things. So, first off, he had an interracial marriage, which was a big thing back at the time in the 60s or 50s. Whenever he got married, he married a white girl. He was Asian. He also helped bring martial arts from China and popularize Chinese martial arts and get the influx, the huge swell of martial arts. And as popular as it was in the 80s and 90s, I don't think it's nearly as popular as today, like the traditional martial arts. Obviously, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, mixed martial arts are insanely popular these days. But I'm talking like the old school, like Kung Fu, Taekwondo, Aikido, Hapkido, all of those. Those were more popular back in the 80s and 90s than they are today, I think. But he was, a key driving force in bringing that over and getting it popularized and making it part of mainstream culture. At the same time, the dude was also an asshole, a womanizer, a playboy, cheated on his wife, flaunted it out in public. And so, no, he's not the ultimate alpha male. He's just, he got elevated in a godlike status because he was one of the first people to really popularize martial arts and bring martial arts over to Western culture and in Western cinema. But no, he's not the ultimate alpha male. No, not even close. No, I'm not going to idolize somebody, put somebody on an elevated pedestal. Nope. You shouldn't elevate any man to any kind of pedestal. I mean, he's got beneficial attributes and he's got some really horrific attributes. So, yeah.
Yeah, that goes for everybody, including me and Roberts. I don't like that. Honestly, the reason why I kind of smirked when this question was asked, because I don't like the whole alpha male title, because not that you weren't doing this at Deals, but I've been around men that call themselves an alpha male, and I just want to punch them in the fucking throat. I mean,
yeah.
The whole thing is just like anybody that goes out of their way. Bruce Lee wasn't doing this, but that's why I was smirking. I've just seen too many guys that talk about themselves being alpha male, and nothing. If you label yourself an alpha male, if you have to go around telling people what you are, if anything, life is about what you do. And I'm very cognizant of this. I am imperfect, but I try to really focus on what I do and improving it. And that is, what you do is important, not the labels you surround yourself with. In the social media era, everybody likes to say, I'm a bodybuilder and I'm this and I'm that. And, everybody likes to label themselves, rather, it's almost more important than what you do. So anyway, how much muscle and strength gain can you achieve by using only dumbbells? And there's a difference between avoiding a barbell and not having a barbell. So if you don't have a barbell, you can achieve a ton of muscle and strength gains using only dumbbells. With that said, I would not avoid a barbell. Unilateral stuff and using a two-arm dumbbell row. My two-arm dumbbell row was 270 by 10. I did 150s by 10 by dumbbell bench press. It's not going to carry over to barbell strength, but you're going to be strong. It's like we're talking about specific adaptation in the body. You can get strong on push-ups, but it's not going to make you strong on the barbell bench. You can get strong on dumbbells, but it's not going to carry over to other areas. So you can get very damn strong. Robert?
Agreed. You pretty much said everything I was going to say, Steve. You're only limited by your ability to overload and create overload of various different mechanisms with that. So you're eventually going to run out of weight with dumbbells, or you're just going to have to get creative. So if you max out, you only have 50 or 60 pound dumbbells and you can already do multiple sets of 10 with Bulgarian split squats, well then start incorporating pauses at the bottom. Do 1.5 reps. You're only going to be limited by your ability to get creative with your reps, because it's just tension. You're applying the muscles. You're going to have to get more creative on different ways to inflict tension upon the muscles. But it's easier to do with a barbell and machines that way. But if you're limited with stuff, you're going to have to get creative after a certain point. So
I'm going to add this to the discussion. In the lifting world, the barbell is elevated into, Thor's hammer. It is the only thing that matters, right?
yeah.
But the dumbbell, like we always equate, what would my dumbbell strength equate to on barbell strength, right? It's never vice versa. Like, people try to equate everything they do on dumbbells to barbells. Your dumbbell strength, you can't do that. Just get strong on your dumbbells and you can get very, very strong. There was another point I was going to make, but I forgot what it is. But we've been on for 2 hours and 15 minutes, so you'll have to forgive me. But just don't do that. Get strong on your dumbbells. You'll be absolutely fine. Robert, your thoughts on Devastate of the did I say that Devastate of the Union pre-workout?
Yeah, it's made by Inspired Nutraceuticals. I've had their owner.
I get it. Devastate of the Union. Okay, I get it. I'm flowing now. Okay.
Yeah, Devastate is their hard-hitting, ball-busting pre-workout. It's been on the market for a couple of years. It's been through several iterations. Chris is a super, super good guy over there. He was a higher up in Dymatize, was one of their big sales guys for many years before starting Inspired. I've had him on the podcast several times. Just a super cool, smart, intelligent, good guy. Inspired makes some great products. I personally haven't tried Devastate of the Union yet. I need to either buy one or see if I can get Chris to send me one. But everything I've heard, I mean, the profile on the thing is stacked. They know how to make some ass-kicking pre-workouts. They're both from like a quality dose side and stuff that is going to like light your brain on fire, energy, focus, motivation kind of thing. So everything I've heard, it hit hard, it hits fast. It's like super sneaky, surprising, just based on like the profile. I'm not saying it's underwhelming, but you typically understand how a certain pre-workout is going to hit you based on like an ingredient profile. And from everything that I've heard from the people that have tried is that it takes it to like another level. And Stack 3D just they just moved Devastate of the Union up to their #1 rated pre-workout, which had just dethroned Hypermax, which is in my top 5 pre-workouts. So I'm excited to try this, and Chris knows what he's doing over there.
All right, thanks, Robert. We got another supplement question. Hostile subs from Fuad Abiyad, is that correct?
Yeah, Fuad. Yep.
Worth the hype price.
Fuad has done a pretty good job of hyping up the line. That being said, here I'll share my screen and we can get this going. Come on, share. Okay, so here's his pre-workout. On the site, it is retailing for $48 for 20 servings. So we got 6 grams of citrulline, quality dose there. 3 grams of creatine monohydrate, anywhere 3 grams is the maintenance dose of creatine as identified in the literature. So, you take 3 grams every day on your training days, you'll be saturated at the end of a month or two. 2.5 grams clinical dose of betaine. As I've said before, neither of these 2 ingredients necessarily need to be supplemented pre-workout but putting them in your pre-workout just is a matter of convenience. 2 grams of arginine nitrate, which we talked about sodium nitrate with the Gorilla Mind supplements. Arginine nitrate is going to attack the nitric oxide pathway, so a different pathway than the L-citrulline is. Taurine here is taking the place of glycerol from the Gorilla Mind supplements. It's an amino acid that enhances cellular hydration, cell volumization, so it encourages your cells to soak up more water. It also affects some GABA pathways in the body, improves endurance. It might help a little bit with focus and harnessing the stimulating quality effects of caffeine, which we've got 200 milligrams here of fast-acting caffeine, and then we have 100 milligrams yield of the slower-acting caffeine, so 300 milligrams total. The Gorilla Mind supplement, which had 400 micrograms per serving of their pre-workout of huperzine A, which is going to affect acetylcholine production in the body, so it inhibits acetylcholinesterase. Acetylcholinesterase is the enzyme that degrades and metabolizes acetylcholine in the brain, which is the learning neurotransmitter. It's also involved with muscle contractions and the mind-muscle connection, so this is going to lead to longer, more sustained focus. This has 100 micrograms, which I'm much more comfortable using that on a more frequent basis than a 400 microgram dose. We got 100 milligrams yield of teacrine, which is going to synergize with caffeine. And there's some research to show that the combination of theacrine and caffeine leads to better performance mentally and physically than just caffeine alone. It's a slower acting, longer lasting adenosine receptor antagonist than caffeine is. So basically the way caffeine primarily works is that you have this neurotransmitter of the brain called adenosine, and it causes you to feel feelings of fatigue, lethargy, tiredness. So, and this is what, why coffee and energy drinks are so great, is that caffeine binds to the adenosine receptor, which prevents the adenosine neurotransmitter from docking to it and making you feel tired. So that's why caffeine is a wakefulness promoter, is that it's structurally similar to adenosine, but it can bind to the adenosine receptor, and it blocks adenosine from attaching. So that's why you feel more awake when you supplement with caffeine. And so theacrine also attaches to the adenosine receptor, but it binds in a different manner. So you have two different types of receptors on the adenosine. You have orthosteric, which is akin to like kicking in the front door of a house. And then you have allosteric modulation, which is like sneaking in the window of the house, is another way to get into it. So you've got the harsh kick from the caffeine and hydrogen. You've got the slower acting energy release from the theacrine for a longer lasting thing. You've got alpha GPC, 600 milligrams here, which is going to provide 50%. So you're going to get 300 milligrams of actual alpha GPC, which is going to synergize with the huperzine here to give you lots of acetylcholine in the body, lots of focus. 1 gram of tyrosine. I'd like to see that at 2 grams, but that's, at some point you have to start clipping things for cost and feasibility. 2 grams of Pico-2, which is it's a blend of 6 mushrooms that has been improved to improve energy production, time to exhaustion, power output, and VO2 kinetics and VO2 max. So, it's a great quality pre-workout. Some of the ingredients here, creatine, betaine, Pico-2, you don't have to supplement with them pre-workout because they're saturation-based compounds, but including them in there, it's not doing any harm, and it helps ensure that you get them each week, since you're going to be taking this, assuming you're taking it 4 or 5 times a week. So yeah, I think it's a super quality pre-workout. It's really good. Is it worth $48? That's ultimately up for you to decide. But you could probably find a coupon code or something from one of their influencers or athletes.
Yeah, I mean, usually when you get it off of like if you're going to the site where it is, of the celebrity or whatever, if you can find it at like Muscle and Strength or bodybuilding.com or wherever, you're going to find it for less expensive. So the goal of these companies is not just generally to sell it off their own sites, but to float it out elsewhere. So I would look elsewhere. By the way, my brain remembered what I was going to say about dumbbell training, and that is, and this is up for debate, but with dumbbell training, I believe over the long run, it might be actually a little bit better, easier on your joints and your body. Dumbbell bench press, it'll flow more naturally. You're not stapled to the straightness or linear nature of the bar, and so on and so forth. So there might be some benefits in dumbbell training that the barbell does not provide. Ephraim chimes in with LOL. I get that a lot when I'm playing Rocket League on PlayStation. People laugh at my ineptitude. Thoughts on DHEA for hormone optimization?
If you are an older individual, yeah, I could see using it 50 to 100 milligrams a day. If you're younger, sub 45, I don't really see much benefit to it.
All right, what do we got here? Any tips on wrist tendon pains? It is not bad. It just interferes with my training. I feel something is not right. Neither of us are a doctor, and I don't want to be super dismissive of this, but pain is something you need to get checked out, especially tendon pain. The only thing I can say that we could probably add is do some stretching. I used to do this. I don't know if you can see that. Stretching this way, and then I would stretch my wrist this way if you pressed on this way. So stretch. I would do those every day before. That was part of my protocol or regimen before I would start lifting. I would just get a little bit of a stretch. If that aggravates the pain, you really need to see a doctor. And I would probably invest in some wrist wraps for support. They're very inexpensive, $20 max for a real quality wrist wrap. Robert, anything to add?
Just make sure you're grabbing the bar like in the meat of your hand. Don't let it slip up into your fingers here, because all that's going to do is transfer all that stress down into the wrist tendons and then the elbow tendons here and all of that. So make sure when you're grabbing the bar, you're getting like really deep into like the base of your palm and wrapping around there.
All right, and I will add to that. Sometimes when I'm running into some guys that are new to the iron, and not saying this individual is, but the normal strains and pains and wear and tear from getting acclimated to training, they can sometimes be thought of as a bad thing. So if it's just basic stuff, your body acclimating to training, it might not be a bad thing at all. Rose, wow. The wow factor is all this guy right there. Rose says, I really love workout, but I need to balance my body. Well, Rose, that's what we're here for. And we encourage you to tag along and ask any questions you want. We'll be glad to help. Joseph G, haven't squatted in years. Would like to include them back into my workout. Do I start with just the barbell, and how fast to increase weight? Look, if you haven't squatted in a while, I would probably check out my video on this channel called Pick Up the Quarter. Go to my main page of YouTube, search Pick Up the Quarter, and kind of get a feel for how to squat, how to set up the squat. A barbell doesn't have a lot of downward force, so it's going to be hard for you to maintain or to get in that really quality squat form groove. I would definitely start with the barbell, go light and go easy, and then slowly work up. While I do not like strong lifts as a program in its entirety, that kind of progress on squats, I wouldn't do them frequently. I would do them, once every 5 days max, once every 6 days max, out of the gate, just to get used to the movement pattern, and maybe moving to twice a week and slowly increase. Don't do a lot of volume of sets. Don't do a lot of volume of reps. Get comfortable with the weight. When you kind of find that nice kind of zone, then I would start running with it. If any of that makes sense. Robert, any thoughts?
No, you got everything, Steve.
All right, we're almost done, guys. Simple Burger. Should you train your weak side, left arm, a bit more to try to bring things up? Okay, good question. My left side's been weaker than my right side for 35 years. Like when you begin, your one side's a little bit weaker, okay? And let's just use this as an example. I'm trying to get this right on here, okay? That's where you're starting. Over the years, I've added strength, right? And up and up and up. There's always a difference, but the stronger you get, the difference is going to be more minimal. My left side's never equal to my right side, but it's pretty close. It's most noticeable on not on bench press, not on dumbbell bench press, but on like dumbbell rows. My left side wants to do a couple reps fewer than my right side. So just do dumbbell exercises, barbell exercises, get everything strong, and don't train it more, because I don't find any value in that. Any thoughts on that, Robert?
Nope. You got that one, Steve. That's everything I was going to say.
All right. Harut said, thanks, guys. Till next week. Appreciate the support. Posting again, I don't know why it was ignored. Yeah, YouTube doesn't love some people on here. Charles, 2 working sets to failure better than 3 to 4 sets. Charles, generically training every exercise to failure is a bad call, because people who advocate every exercise to failure or no exercises to failure don't understand the nature of the differences of exercise. Some exercises are more forgiving and you can train them to failure. Some exercises are crippling, and if you train them to failure. With that said, training to failure is not a requirement to build muscle. So you really need to get off that failure boat. My book, Massive Iron, which is available right up there, I try to teach people on a specific exercise to train it, to push a set for as many quality reps as you can, stopping that set when you feel like you might fail on the next rep or when your form breaks down. Practice safe sets. Robert, do you have any thoughts on failure in general?
I don't want to be a failure in life.
Right track. Just keep it up. I will say that we're 2.5 hours in, and I was bothered by the arch, right? I was bothered by the arch, and you're not set up by the arch today.
Nope.
Directly to the side of your head in that closet, something is sticking out, and it's been bothering us the whole time, Robert.
It's my wife's dress that's hanging right here. It's right there.
My OCD nature can't stop looking at it.
There you go.
Okay. I'm still sticking out, Robert.
Well, here, we'll just do that so you can see into the closet now. There we go.
All right. So
I can turn turn it like this. That way you can't see anything. There we go.
Thoughts on pasta?
Delicious. Homemade
Yeah.
pasta. Come have some of my homemade pasta. It will change your life.
All right. But what about the white flour in pasta, Robert?
One serving of pasta a week, I don't think it's going to kill anybody. I mean, obviously it's going to be, different people, different things, but I mean, shit. Italians have been eating it for centuries. They have a very active lifestyle. If you're actively moving about and everything, I think it's going to be fine. And if you're really that concerned about it, go get some white whole wheat pasta and make pasta from that. Yeah,
I mean, as far as carb sources go, as long as when I was in college, pasta was cheap. Macaroni and cheese. I lived on macaroni and cheese. It was like 20 cents a box, and that and ramen noodles. So, do what you got to do. I would, in a perfect world, I would try to vary your protein sources.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't overkill the white flour in your diet, but if you like it, eat it a little bit. Life is about balance, 80-20, all that good stuff.
Agreed.
Thank you. Appreciate it. No problem. Hope we were helped. And last question. How often should an athlete smoke cigars regularly to avoid any negative side effects? A couple things. You don't inhale cigar smoke. So there's not that imminent issue as with cigars or with cigarettes. With that said, you might still face mouth cancer issues. But there was a very big study done, I believe, in Europe that was on I believe, somewhere like 130,000 people. I don't know. I haven't looked into this study in like 4 years, so I forgot the exact number. But they compared cigar smokers in very prevalent. There's some countries where cigar smoking is very much the norm, right? And a lot of women do it. They compared mouth cancer rates of cigar smokers to non-cigar smokers and found that they were very, very equal. So that is a hot point of discussion. With that said, you should probably not push your luck, right, with regards to mouth cancer. So I would just caveat cigar smoking with that. Just be very, very careful. Me personally, there were some times I would smoke a cigar 4 or 5 times a night, or 4 or 5 times a week. Now it's very, very often because I don't have time. So I would probably limit it to a couple times a week, and just proceed with caution. All right. Great stuff, guys. Thank you for the stream. All right, Robert, 2 hours and 31 minutes. Everybody watching, we sincerely appreciate your support week in and week out. Please go over to YouTube and support the supplement engineer, Robert Schinetsky, and go over to Instagram and follow him, stalk him, slide into his DM, send him lewd. No, I'm just kidding. Just joking, people. Robert, what are you doing this weekend?
Probably the usual. We're gonna do our usual bout. I'll do some meal prep tomorrow morning. Sandy and I will get in our upper body workout. Then I'll record the Final Scoop podcast, which if anybody here is listening, you can tune in for the live recording of the Final Scoop every Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Supplement Engineer YouTube channel. All comments, questions, banter are welcome, just like we do here on the Massive Iron Time. After that wraps usually around 3 o'clock. Then that's when the halfling wakes up from her nap. We're going to go head to Iron Wolf Distillery to enjoy some live music, bourbon, and a mask-free environment. The wonderful outdoors. The weather's cooling off here in Texas. And Sunday will be more meal prep because it's time to make another huge bat of muscle-making enchiladas for Sandy for the week.
Oh, that sounds good. I got to get on that. We need that recipe. I don't ever stop working, so I got a 3.5-hour run tomorrow, and then I'll go do some client calls, and then Sunday I get up and do client work and client workouts, and try to wait for 2021 to hit. All right, guys, thanks for watching. We're here every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Talk to you next week, Robert.
Bye, Steve.